We are live.
If anything was even caught, I don't know. Nothing bad, but what's going on, guys? Welcome to Hyperspace Hype, episode number 45. Wow. But yeah, we got a lot. We figured it's just like, oh yes, part 1 of 2 of the finale of Mando, even though it kind of just felt like the next step to the finale. Didn't really feel like a two-parter, but still fun stuff. And we also got plenty of announcements to discuss today. I mean, did not expect this much. Joining us as always, we have Carson.
Well, so what's going on, guys? I can't even speak because we have so many announcements. I'm still kind of reeling from all the news yesterday. But I was holding my breath yesterday because I wanted to talk about Star Wars, and now we can get it all out and hash it out and rant and praise and everything in between because there's just so much. Can't wait to break it all down. We really have the future, the next 2 to 3 years and beyond of Star Wars, which is something we've been saying on this show for probably our entire year run so far. Is like, what does that slate look like? Is there a plan? Where are they headed? And we have the answers, and it's incredibly exciting.
And also joining us, we have Evan.
Yeah, in a year full of mostly, as Nathan would like to say, scoops and what's it called again? Dunkin' Donuts, or Baskin
Robbins, 31 flavors.
We gotta put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, we really do.
Yeah.
It's fun to actually get some official announcement. We get to actually look ahead and look at stuff. We now know who's doing a 2023 movie, which we didn't before. We have some TV shows ahead. Some I'm super excited for. Some I'm more meh about. Nothing I'm really super upset about overall. But yeah, we have exciting things ahead. I can't wait to talk about it. And Mando was great today. I had a great time with Mando.
Rick never fails. But yeah.
He don't miss.
So before we get into our light dark conflictions of the slate, we are going to discuss The Mandalorian, episode 7 of season 2, chapter 15, The Believer. Pretty fun.
Pretty good, yeah.
I had a great time this episode. I finished it and I'm like, this was super, super refreshing. And it goes to show that you can really tell the difference between, I don't want to cap on Jon Favreau, but the writing, I could tell the difference in writing, particularly in this episode. Especially, I could really feel
the difference in camera work this time around.
Yeah, the camera work during the action scenes, and even the tense, what would you call it, lunch/dinner scene at the standoff. Yeah, I guess at the mess hall. But then, a lot of the quiet moments were really well written too, in terms of Mayfeld's character going back and forth with Mando at the during the whole transport scene, and also during the mess hall scene. I think overall, the writing here, you can actually see a theme in this episode, which is pretty. I don't want to say it's new for Mando, but it's pretty new for Mando season 2. You can actually sense a theme in this episode.
We weren't reintroducing a new character.
We weren't introducing character. There's no backdoor pilots. There's no overly big canon connection that gets people thinking about something far off rather than what's important in the now in terms of the show. This was one of the episodes that pushed the show forward while also giving us a self-contained, good-natured, fun episode. It reminded me of the good episodes in season 1 because people used to be upset about season 1 in terms of, these episodes are just so not connected and they're different. And I liked episode 6 of season 1 with Rick Famuyiwa doing the whole jailbreak thing, but didn't really move the thing forward. This one really moved it forward. This was episode 2 quality for Rick Famuyiwa. I really liked it overall. I had a blast. I think this was great.
It's funny because I think I'm more with Evan than I was last night. I don't know, for whatever reason. Maybe I think I was contented out from a 4-hour investor call, and then of course our 2.5-hour podcast breaking it all down, and then watching it, and for whatever reason it's just the pacing of it was just a little off for me the first time, and then I watched it a second time today and I liked it a lot more. I think you're absolutely right. I think thematically it was very evident. We'll get into it. I loved all the stuff with the Empire, particularly building out kind of that kind of, because really it's we get to see inside this echo chamber, and basically I love that they go in and everyone's clapping and it's cool. I actually thought some of the dialogue was kind of iffy this episode, a little on the nose for me. but I really liked what it impacted overall, like with the helmet stuff and with Mando as a character. So it's more of a minor thing for me, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, we got him with his helmet off finally.
Yeah,
we'll
Not
talk
in the
about
way
it during
I
our breakdown,
anticipated.
but
that's
not
what
the
I
way
said too. I'm like,
anticipated.
wait, I kind of wanted it to be like more like a dramatic. I mean, it was dramatic in the sense that he made the choice and went over there, and we get earlier in the episode, of course, Bill Burr's like, he's like, you're not getting in there, or that whole mask thing about taking off the helmet, or what is it? I can't remember what it says. Like, what is it if you take out the helmet or show your face? There's a difference. We get that whole payoff. And I loved it. I love Pedro's awkwardness of that whole scene. And he was like about to say stuff, and then Bill Burr's character would like come in and like it was gloss over it. It was hilarious.
It was a good shit I love in Star Wars, the awkward humor with the intense like nature around it. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh, fun fact. That the Imperial officer, I just saw a tweet that he is the actor that played the Night King in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the initial Night King, the one that was
the initial Night
just,
King,
like,
yeah,
walking around,
standing around. But I'm like, that's cool.
I recognize him as like the creepy undercover dude from the first Kingsman, like testing people tied to the tracks. Like,
wow.
will they spill info? I know, right? It's like the one thing.
Yeah, let's go beat by beat for this episode.
Yeah.
All right. So right off the bat, not really. I just want to address I was very thrown off of how like Boba Fett's new paint job. It's so fresh,
pretty clean.
Like I was not used to it at all. I've never seen him like that. I was like, this feels wrong almost. Like.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. I'm like, okay, he got a washed job because the other one was pretty sandy.
It's a new era for the character, right? Yeah, it's nice.
I guess it makes sense. Yeah, new era for the character. Got a new paint job. He's still pretty chill. I still don't trust him. We'll see what happens in the finale. But
I think he's
pretty legit.
I think he's probably just a dude swayed by the job or the money. So I guess he's just kind of like whatever. But yeah, it was also cool seeing the interior of the slave one, like how it functioned, like the
gyroscopic room. Yeah. Cool. You know what it reminded me of? This is going to be a deep cut. Is the animated masterpiece, the Robots movie, where they have that they have that house. And do you remember what I'm talking about? They have that house, and each of them has like a rotating room. And it would go down, and they crank the thing, and then someone else would be in the room, and they crank it again. And I don't know why that was ingrained in my mind, but I'm like, oh my god, robots! Like that's so
incredible.
Cool.
I like that movie a lot. Is that DreamWorks? That was a fun movie.
Yeah, it's good.
It might be Blue Sky.
Maybe Blue Sky.
But yeah, starring Ewan McGregor.
Yeah,
of course.
So hey, it all ties. But yeah, it was interesting. We were going to this planet. We picked up Mayfield at the beginning. Kara using
prison
her martial
planet was
powers.
Cool. I like the TIE fighter shells, like them like trying to like construct their scavenge whatever was left on them.
Yeah,
I like seeing the droids being the ones in charge. That was really cool. Yeah, and the prison scene overall, the layout was really cool. It reminded me of this Dr. Afro world where she gets sent to prison as well. And it's run by like these droids and these a lot of just like crazy chaos and junk everywhere. I guess most prisons are the same in Star Wars. But yeah, the world overall, it reminded me of Corellia. It reminded me of like those little scrapyards we saw in like Solo, stuff like that. But it's really cool.
Yeah.
And I like
the whole vibe I got from the Empire this episode, like in the internal like Imperial facility, was giving me like the same feel of like the troops walking around when they're on the mud planet in Solo.
Oh yeah, Mimban?
Mimban, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like again the show starting off with the character that's not Mando. So it's a small thing, but I just like seeing it just grows the show in terms of scope. Start off with Mando.
It's a shame that Guys, I finally hit my breaking point with
the
acting of Gina Carano. Besides all of the other stuff, this episode was
so
bad.
wooden, right?
She cannot act. She's like, she sits there. She does the same two beats. She sit there. It would be like looks scornful, and then goes, huh, and then like walks away, and that's it. Every scene. I swear to
Yeah.
God.
One tiny fluctuation in the voice, that's all you need. But yeah.
So that's just I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
so flat. It's the same. Mhm. Yeah.
So I was okay. So but when they're like planning like the infiltration of the tank that they're trying to take over before infiltrating, and they're all like trying to see like who can go down.
Yeah.
I think I misinterpreted a line because they were asking like around. Then they asked Boba Fett, and he was like, let's just say they might recognize my face. I was just kind of thinking like, oh yes, his helmet. But then I was like, unless they mean the clone face.
Yeah, that was an interesting line. I was thinking he meant the clone face, right? Is that what they were insinuating?
I thought he
Probably
meant,
because I just meant like since he was working for the Empire before, like just the
Oh,
yeah,
that
that's
could
what I
work, too.
thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think the clone one probably makes a bit more sense because I don't know because isn't the whole like plot comes down to the facial recognition. So
Yeah, I mean, because he worked for the Empire, but he wasn't like working for the Empire. He wasn't on a payroll. He just got hired for a job.
yeah,
So I don't think they would have him on facial recognition per se. So
yeah. But like
Which-
Fennec was wanted, and I'm very happy Fennec is a part of crew.
Me too.
Something I've
Yeah,
wanted for a while.
yeah. And I like that the little I guess banter between Cara Dune and Fennec up on the hillside. Like you take out the cannons, you focus over there. I don't need you. Just take out the troopers. I'll take out.
I
the
was
cannons.
more hung on to Fennec's lines for sure, but yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, Gene is not killing it in this episode.
I'll take
But,
a Fennec spin-off. But
Please. Speaking of facial recognition, though, it makes me curious that you had to like scan into that thing, right? And I'm like, I think it would be interesting if like I could totally see Giancarlo like they're on the bridge and he just pulls up the scan of his face like somehow it's like in the database. He
ooh,
finds
yeah.
it, and just absolutely taunts him and just belittles him over like you're nothing, your creed is nothing, your purpose is nothing, like that kind of like
The shame you have shown your creed or something.
right, like and just making him angry. Like I could totally see that happening to an extent of whatever they fight in the next episode. So I was curious if that's going to lead to anything. It probably won't, but it's interesting that now like his face, I guess, has been scanned into the Empire database. My mind just went to a million places. So
That's a good
Remember-
call.
I just randomly thinking. Remember when we thought Gideon and Ahsoka were gonna fight? Like eventually.
yeah,
He totally did. Yeah.
But yeah, now I don't think so. Which cool. But
Yeah, at least we still have a shot. We'll talk about predictions
At-
later on, but we still
at
have a
least
shot.
not in this show, but in the other.
we'll talk about it. Later.
I wasn't gonna go there. I was gonna say we still have a shot for Bo-Katan to fight him or
Save
Din
yourself.
Djarin himself to fight him. Yeah.
Speaking of which, is she showing up in the finale? I
She has
don't know
to,
anymore.
right?
Right? Like
Who?
Bo-Katan.
Bo.
I hope so.
She has
Oh,
to.
They were leaving like I mean by the end of the episode they leave Mayfield and I'm just like I feel like we need as many people as possible. Can we? My first thought was like, can we get Cobb Vanth back? But also, will Bo-Katan come over?
Yeah, I think Bo-Katan. I think the next episode is going to start with the previously, and it's going to show like her asking for the Darksaber in episode 3 or whatever it was, and then it's going to
Probably.
tease her return for the finale. Because she did say, Katie Sackhoff did say, like we're going to get answers about how she lost it and stuff this season. I thought maybe I was just inferring that, but
Now there is
You know
only
what?
8. There is only 8 episodes this season, right? There's not 9.
yeah, tomorrow or
see.
next week's the finale.
Okay. Cool. Should
I
we
was
continue
just
going
gonna
through the
say-
episode? Or-
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like moving into the episode of like, so the whole deal of like, so they're up on the cliff, they're all wanted, and then Mando has to make that choice again. I think Rick Famuyiwa did a really good job of like having the character have to make choices in this episode. I think
Yes.
it's probably having a lack of this season in a lot of episodes. You're kind of just along for the ride, and it's Mando reacting to things versus having to like actually decide that he's gonna go do something or he's gonna do this. So that was cool. And then we cut to backpack, the whole suit in the backpack, and he's got the stormtrooper. I guess
So
I don't
weird,
know what the trooper's
like, knowing
called,
he-
but
I think it's a tank trooper.
Tank
So many.
trooper, yeah.
It's so weird to see, like, knowing he's in a different set of armor. It's so weird.
It threw me for a loop. It did.
It really
I
did
was also,
too.
like, and while they were driving, I was like looking. I was like, I could kind of see through that visor almost at his eyes.
Yeah, it reminded me of
Yeah.
like Darth Vader in A New Hope, how you can kind of see the eyes in Vader during the trench run scene, and you can kind of see the eyes in Pedro's face here too.
And it was smart too because when the action actually jumps off, he's weakened in that suit. Like you can tell,
No
like,
Beskar,
he
yeah.
just he expects it to be Beskar. Already hit him. He's like, "Ow, that hurts!" Like, so
It was
he's
hilarious.
defenseless. Yeah.
It was hilarious because you could see. Oh, what's up, AJ?
General Kenobi.
What's up?
Sorry.
Yeah, it was hilarious because you could see him like trying to deflect it and stuff, do what he normally does, but it's not working, and the armor is literally just getting torn off.
Right,
So
because like it's funny. Cut to last episode, he's sitting there spinning around in a circle with Fennec, deflecting every single blaster from the stormtroopers, and then here he's just fighting some pirates. They're hitting him with like wooden sticks, and he's like, "Oh my god, this hurts! I don't want to do this." It's funny.
Oh yeah, dude, and especially like when like he's fighting like wave after wave, and then by the end there's like 5
last
different
wave, he's
skiffs
like-
coming out of smoke. Five entire skiffs, all with the thermal in their hand, and he's just like, like he's so tired, and he gets, I don't even know what he thinks he's gonna do, but he's just kind of like standing his ground, like the Mudhorn.
Yeah,
Then
I love the action in this scene as a whole. I think Rick really, we talked about it earlier, Rick really directed the action so well in terms of all the wide shots, the close shots, the whole fighting sequence on top of a train. Awesome.
Very Indiana Jones, of course. Both a lot of his episodes you can take, but who can blame him? I mean, it's very Lucas.
Oh wow, you're right.
yeah.
Episode 2 was also very Indiana Jones. Where he's trying to get on that Jawa transport.
Episode
So, yeah, I kind of love that.
last episode also Indiana Jones with the boulder.
Oh wow, that was a little on the nose.
That was just blatant, though.
That was just blatant craziness. We love you, Robert.
Or also like another is like what the siege episode when like they were driving the troop tank and they the speeder bike against the wall.
Yes.
Yeah. Good point.
There's a lot of indie in this apparently.
Yeah, it's a mix.
A lot of alien stuff in the early season, a lot of indie stuff too. Like,
but I think the whole conversation between Mayfeld and Mando took place before this fight sequence, right?
Yes, because they go through the village.
Yeah, because while they're just driving.
Fantastic.
Yeah, let's dig into that because that was a great, fun sequence here. It's where I started to like Mayfeld's character. I thought he was okay in episode 6. He was a little bit over the top, I thought. But he really came into his own character in this episode, and I really grew to like his character and what he stood for. And we kind of get a little tease before the whole mess hall sequence in that scene where he's talking to Mando about his helmet, saying like what Carson teased earlier, like what's the difference between you saying or your creed saying you can't show your face or you can't take off the helmet? Like those aren't the same things.
Yeah, he was going on about like just like different ideologies about like, you know, you on Mandalorian may believe one thing, someone on Alderaan believe another thing. Well, now none of them exist anymore. But
yeah,
it's a smart character because you can get away with so much exposition because the dude can't shut up. So you can say you can put so much in the thing because it feels like something the character like he just thinks out loud, right? And so I didn't really. Some of it was a little on the nose for me, like I kind of wanted the villager thing to just like speak for itself, but he's like, oh hey, like you know, it's like it's all the same to them. Like it's kind of like
a little on the nose. I can feel that. I can feel that.
But I think it worked for the character, and I think I enjoyed him more than I did in season 1.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand why they brought him back.
And also, it's kind of necessary when you talk about the character of Mando as a whole. It's kind of a gift and a curse with the show, but Mando is a guy who always wears a helmet and he doesn't talk a lot.
Right.
So you can't you can't really get into the themes or his mindset. You have to kind of like infer a lot, which is cool. I like subtext a lot, but this one kind of called for it a little bit, even if it was on the nose. Last week, Boba Fett talked about the Jango Fett and the Mando Civil Wars, and that's kind of referenced here again when Mayfeld talks about how the quote here was like, "Do you think all the people who died in the wars fought by Mandalorians had a choice?" And that's really digging into like the bad side and the good side between Mandos. Like it's so complex.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as somebody like Din Djarin probably
Yeah.
believes.
I'll tell you what my favorite subtext was from his character is in that same scene. He's like, whatever, as far as I'm concerned, if you can sleep well at night, that's better than most people.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it pays off at the very end when he shoots the thing. And I think he says, like they don't need to sleep at night, or I can't remember what he says.
I think he said he needs to sleep at night or something. But yeah.
Yeah, which I really thought added a lot of dimension.
Or we all need to sleep. I think that's what he said.
Right.
Oh wow, I didn't even recognize that. Nice.
Yeah, and so it's a cool little payoff, and then everything you just kind of learned about, going into the Empire. It's weird because we get to the end of the pirate scene, right? And there's like this camaraderie, and we're confused because we're like, yeah, they made it in, and then everyone's clapping, and it's like awkward, and it's weird seeing the Empire in this state because it's just a bunch of people, but so small into the relative scale of everything, and it feels like these people just don't know that unless you're an officer and you understand the bigger picture, which I thought was a really cool dynamic. I loved like learning that, like, oh, we're just gonna win back and die as a people. They want order. Of course, a little on the nose there with they're gonna want order, whatever. They're gonna come back to the Empire, but that stuff was fascinating.
I agree.
Yeah, it's interesting, like when they have that table discussion, and Mayfield's like talking about like all the troops that he was serving with. Now they had like families and stuff, which kind of like is gonna ring like further like down the line for First Order when like someone like Finn tries breaking away. They're like really some of them willingly are joining a Nazi cause, but others are like real people. Kind of like getting
reminded me of Lost Stars. Actually, it reminded me of a lot of the subtext in that's book. About
Ooh, good show.
I'm also sure like a lot of the Empire has a lot of people like how Han was in Solo. Like he literally had no other choice but to join.
Right.
So.
Yeah, there's a character in Star Wars Resistance. I'm blanking on the character. Who's the black character, the best friend in Star Wars Resistance? Carson.
Oh, the girl that goes to the First Order, or Yeager.
Yeah. The girl that goes to the First Order, because she was saying how her father worked for the Empire, and he had to pay the bills, basically. Like he had to support the family, and working for the Empire was kind of like the only way to do that. So there is a lot of complexity when you get into who's exactly working for the Empire. And as we learned in this episode, Mayfeld was not exactly an awful person. Just because he worked for the Empire, Cara Dune gave him those little looks and those bad looks and words because he worked for the Empire. She couldn't really trust him early on, at least. But yeah, as we learned throughout this episode, is that it's more complex than that. Like he also had demons when he was working for the Empire. He didn't agree with everything they did, and that kind of ties into why he became a bounty hunter, as we saw in episode 6. Like it's all connected.
And he was yeah.
I was gonna say there was a scene earlier in the transport sequence where he talks about like Empire, New Republic, it's all the same, and you can kind of see that through his perspective, even though from a ulterior as a fan watching it, like it's not really the same. Like New Republic's not perfect at all, but they are different from the Empire.
Well, that made me think about time period as well. It's like the change. So I think it's interesting. The change to the Empire was quite literally overnight, right? But the transition into the New Republic is a very slow. Democracy is slow sometimes, and so to him, those conditions didn't change. And like we've seen in this season, I particularly go back to the first episode, which I think is probably still one of my favorites of the season. Of like someone steps in, it's the cycle that keeps feeding itself. And sometimes that democracy is lagging to catch up. And I think that's an interesting part of the show is because the New Republic and being established is not overnight. I mean, we've seen 2 X-Wing pilots kind of surveying, dipping in and out of episodes. We really haven't seen their presence, diplomatic presence or otherwise, actually affect the galaxy this far out. And so to a lot of these people, I think the sameness rings true because in their eyes, the day-to-day thing, they're still waking up and there's somebody ahead of them. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I definitely want to discuss more about the whole decision of removing the helmet because I was like
Yes.
trying to figure out like how this is gonna go down. I was like, is he gonna have to like angle the helmet so like nobody actually sees his face while he's doing it, or
Mhm.
which I would have done, but like he was just I just love like how like time started running out. There started to be like a timer on it
Mm-hmm.
to like make that decision, but like he is really just showcases how much he just like nothing else matters but the love he has for this child. Like he's gone full father mode, I think, and he's
Yeah.
just really needs to
Yeah.
get him back. And so when he like
He
takes
made
it
that
off,
choice.
Yep. He made the choice,
He
which
went
is a
full
big.
in.
It's a big central theme about the episode. Like he had a choice to take off the helmet. He has a choice to free Mayfeld at the end of this episode. He has a choice to go along with the Mandalorian creed, all this stuff. Like, and he kind of culminates in him just taking off his helmet, which I liked. It's like it's not a big, super emotional, impactful
Mhm.
moment, but it's very real. It's like during the heat of a mission, you got to do what you have to do to support the one or help get the one you love back. And it was just really cool. I just love seeing Pedro's face, like that
yeah,
nervousness, but that intensity too. He's like not sure what
it
he's
felt
doing.
and it felt so surreal like as it was going because
Yeah.
it's not just like he's like out like I mean he's in a corner but he's still like in a public space doing it, and like
Right.
when you see that people are seeing him it's just like it's just it's over now. It's
Yeah.
happened. Like
Yeah.
people are seeing them. And yeah, I was initially expecting it to happen a different way. Like I was like always anticipating like, oh, it'd be cool if like just like a battle damage to the helmet, just like causing it, but then just like
Mhm.
fully accepting. But I think this is probably like a way more better personal way. I mean, he still has his helmet that he wears, but
Yeah.
I think this was like a good like personal stepping stone as opposed to like it being like it was a forced hand, but it was like
Mhm.
he made the decision to like out of like the careness for the child to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be
Exactly.
more reveals down the line that are more personal to Grogu. I imagine a moment. For some reason, I kept thinking about just so many helmets in this episode and this show in general. I'm like,
Yeah.
what if he has to like protect the child with the Beskar helmet? Like, what if then somehow he's like quickly like something blowing up and he puts the
Like
Beskar
a little
helmet over the
candy
child?
bowl. Little candy
Yeah,
bowl
and
of
then the
child.
child like peeks out. The child peeks out and like sees his face for the first time or the
That would be
second time, I guess.
cute. I would love that.
Yeah, so I kind of think of like little moments to like that's gonna happen where it'll be more personal to the child rather
I
than
want to
just
see
Mayfield in this instance.
I want to see a happy ending at some point, not of like the show, but like some episode where like you just see the helmet like moving with two little feet, and he just pulls the helmet
Yeah,
off and he's walking like this.
yeah,
That'd be
that'd
cool.
be amazing.
Yeah. I think it's a natural progression because season one, he got blown off. He had no control over that. He got blown
Right.
off, and he did kind of have control because he was able to lift the helmet so IG-11 could heal him. But it was kind of a dire situation. He really had no
YG
choice.
did it himself.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah, but he had the loophole of like not a living thing.
exactly. But this
And
one,
I love
Mhm.
like after the whole like table discussion talking about Operation Cinder and everything, which I guess apparently happened in Battlefront 2.
it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, they have the whole and then they have the shootout. But then like right as like they're in the clear in the moment, he just like did what he had to do. I didn't see your face. Like the respect he had for me was phenomenal. I love that.
Which is great to see. Yeah, so like it all worked out in the end, and it's a national progression for both Mayfeld and Mando as a character. Like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Hopefully, like as soon as he took off the helmet, I think the show just, or at least the episode, just rose up, in my opinion, because I just like seeing him without the helmet. Like even in the couple of minutes that we saw him without the helmet during the mess hall scene, it just felt so refreshing and so
Yeah.
gratifying. To
I
see
said I said the
acting.
same thing, and like just
Yeah.
seeing Pedro's face in like a cinematic lighting, like because with the helmet, like, and I love just like it's like it's like cool lighting. We don't get that with his character because it's just the helmet and reflections, and I'm like, no, we're in a show, like this is cool.
As soon as it happened, I'm like, please let me see more of this. I want more of these kind of scenes. I want more, whether it's awkward, cool, just any emotional. Like I just want Pedro Pascal killing it, because even in the small amount of screen time that he had without the helmet, we saw a lot of his facial expressions and kind of how he was
really
portraying
good,
his looks without dialogue, and it was really cool. Just him looking back and forth between Mayfeld and the Imperial officer.
Yeah, and I think a really big little moment too is like when the officer does approach him, and then he does like have to like physically like turn his entire face to him. Oh, it's great.
Yeah, the directing in that scene, like, he kind of it zooms in on Din's face, and he's just like, and he's so frozen. We don't usually see Din like this. He's usually like calm, knows how to react under pressure,
on to the
kind of
next
character.
thing, right?
Yeah, but this time he was literally frozen, didn't know how to answer the Imperial officer. Then Mayfield had to come in and call him like
my TK number, what?
Yeah, TK 111 or something like that. Just
brown eyes, yes.
And brown eyes. And then it was a little over the top, and he was like, when the Imperial officer had to speak louder, he was like, "What do you call yourself? What is your name?" or something like that. I'm like, okay. It was just very funny.
This is some solo cheese, like like last name. Don't got one. Han Solo.
What is that?
Flying in no time.
You know what? It's a fun.
I'm gonna start quoting the whole Solo movie if I keep going, but yeah. Yeah, it's great stuff. And then they start the shootout out the window, and then that's when we start calling everybody in, including Boba Fett and Carson.
I want to go into the Operation Cinder.
We got it. Okay, yeah, we'll get it.
Yeah.
So Operation Cinder was okay. I haven't finished the Battlefront 2 campaign, so of course I haven't because I haven't
played in a while.
Carson doesn't finish anything. What do you mean?
Okay.
Was that Jimmy Neutron villain that can't?
What I remember.
I mean, I'm the same way with actual projects, but like, yeah.
What I remember is that it was like some sort of contingency plan by Palpatine.
Yes.
Is that the planet
survival of the Empire?
Exactly.
Correct.
Is that the weather changing thing?
It's the weather changing one, but it's more expansive. So the Operation Cinder is under the creed that if you fail to protect your master, in this case Emperor Palpatine, then you don't deserve to survive. So all the upper level Imperial officers had this mandate passed down to them, so they knew what would happen if their emperor fell. And we see that first in the aftermath. That comic book series, it was 5 issues, took place after Return of the Jedi. I forget what it was called now.
Shattered Empire?
Shattered Empire. Thank you very much. Shattered Empire. We first see that like in the final issue of Shattered Empire when Luke is,
with Poe's parents, right?
With Poe's parents and Luke escaping the Death Star. And you kind of see Operation Cinder first go into enactment or whatever. And yeah, similar to Battlefront 2, you see a lot of the lasers or Star Destroyers shooting down at planets in a big global scale. But also, as we saw in Mando this episode, it's also a very down-to-earth kind of thing too. It's just Imperial officers commanding their people to shoot at other Imperial officers or other stormtroopers during that time because they failed to protect their emperor. It is a funny Operation Cinder is a funny thing because a lot of fans were theorizing, what if Vader did live? Like, would Vader be a part of Operation Cinder? Would Vader also be a target in Operation Cinder because he failed to protect his emperor? It's an interesting thing to think about.
He let them. Like,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
I think even of down to Gideon, I think of like how he leverages something like this of like, our emperor is dead, but that doesn't mean the empire is dead. Like I'm sure, I'm sure he talks that talk of like, it's no means to stop now. So I'd be curious to see.
I think it might have been this recap where they like reaffirmed like the "Long Live the Empire" between him and the troop in the Bo-Katan episode.
Episode 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
So,
but yeah, I just really liked seeing that. It added a lot of depth to Mayfeld, yes, but also to like the ordeals of the Empire too. Just giving that to a wider audience to see like, oh yeah, these guys actually shot at themselves. Basically, these guys also had a whole scruffle or whatever after Return of the Jedi. Like it wasn't all just some people leave and then we have Gideon's people. It's also a lot of people within the Empire having to make difficult decisions,
being victimized too.
Being victimized, yeah.
Yeah, and but then the ranks of a small price to pay for the Empire's goal or whatever. It's like it's chilling, and it's obviously is going to continue all the way into the First Order, and I'm sure even into the future. Like there's always going to be something that rises up, maybe not to the scale of the Empire of the First Order, but there's always going to be those cells of evil, which is chilling.
Yeah. And going back to our favorite word this episode, choice. It was all about the choice of seeing like Mayfeld in that scene. Like when he's talking about the whole flashback, he's discussing like the choice that he made during that moment.
I didn't expect that choice to come up of him like turning it and just digging into it, because I thought he was just trying to make small talk, and of course at first he's just like, oh, Operation Cinder, but then he realizes how disingenuous and it really got to him, and then he just starts burning it. We even get that look between Mayfield and Pedro of like, dude, like,
which is great.
Doing like,
he did finish like, which is so good. Like, you don't see that kind of stuff. Like, you could kind of, if he had his helmet on, you could kind of infer like Mando's thinking like, what's going on here. But seeing Pedro's face of like concern and like, what the fuck is happening? It was just really funny.
Or even like a little moment, like right at the start of the talk, like he asked Pedro a question, and he was just like, but he didn't get a chance to speak because Mayfield. You can't see that under the helmet.
Yeah, it just please more just Pedro Pascal killing it in the show in season 3, please.
Yeah, at some point, I hope they can like settle on no more helmet, and like he will wear it for battle, but most scenes he'll just like be more relaxed with it.
That's 100% where it's going. It
has to be, please.
Yeah. But then we make our way outside, and Carson, you and I especially, we're just one of the best sound effects our boy at Industrial Light and Magic have cooked up. The seismic charge.
I was shocked that they actually did
as
that. I'm like,
soon as those TIE fighters.
I thought it would be more in space. I saw them start to fly up. I was like, are we taking it to space? But he just drops it. And it was a big thing. It was like, it looked really cool. But the big thing was like how the sound was edited. Like every time I'm just like, it has to have the silence delay before it just goes it's so good.
It's perfect. Yeah.
And we get that too. I'm sure it's definitely mixed in Solo when the what is the damn element?
Yep. Yeah, coaxium.
Coaxium explodes after Emphasis and then attack the train. We get that same delay in that huge bubble. I love that noise. So they put it everywhere.
It's still so cool that that's a real effect they did, that they filmed an explosion underwater to get that.
And then, it's like the mountains just added in, not the explosion. I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's a real explosion. That's insane. It's amazing. But yeah, it was such a cool moment. And then it also a cool moment that we could see like Mayfield get the sharpshooting down, which we talked about. And then,
awesome.
And then he gets to go free. They let him off because they see he's not just like the scummy dude from last season. It seems like he's like got some morals, you know.
Yeah, I like that. I wouldn't be upset about seeing him again in season 3. But
they also just abandon him on this planet too. I'm
like, what if 5 minutes from now one of the villagers recognizes him like and kills him?
Yeah, like where is he getting this ship from? And he's also still in Empire gear or whatever. Or I think he was. I can't remember.
No, he was in his.
Or he changed. Okay.
He changed at that point. But again, going back to what Carson said earlier this episode, we had Cara Dune's awful acting in that scene where she's like, "Should we let him escape, Mando?" And he's like, "Yeah, I guess."
Sounds to me, prisoner 2478 is he helped to die in the explosion of the boat.
Like it's the whole smirk and talk. Like every scene is just her smirking and talking. It's like, please do something.
Very quietly as well. Like she may have like an inflection, but like her volume is like stuck at one level.
Yeah.
Volume.
Wow.
Okay. But yeah, then we just kind of take off and we get a little more a quick shot of the Gideon's destroyer again. We get onto the main bridge.
Yeah.
And what was probably my favorite moment was when Din contacts him through the hologram and flips the script from last season of the exact same words Gideon spoke to him, but it's way more threatening and more personal because it truly is like a father wants his child back, and he is a dangerous warrior, and he's not going to stop.
This was his Liam Neeson Taken moment. He grabbed the cell phone, dialed the number, and said, "I will find you. I will kill you. Like I will kill everybody."
He's got the little hollow puck. He's just like, okay.
Yeah,
It's like
it
his
was great.
importance to me is greater than you realize. Like all that stuff.
It was awesome. And it goes to show a lot of people have complained about the previously on in terms of the Mando episodes. I'm like, it's important to establish those previously shot scenes because in the previously of this episode, we got the scene from the finale of Moff Gideon saying those exact same lines. So it wouldn't have connected with people in that moment if people didn't know where that line came from.
Because they pull a lot of clips from like season 1 as well. So
so seeing Moff Gideon say that at the beginning of the episode, then seeing Din say at the end of the episode, just rang that scene even more harder. It felt so freaking It was a great fist bump moment, and I can't wait to see Din maybe succeed in the finale. We'll see.
And it ends with like just the shot on Gideon's face, and I think there's a mix of emotions. He's both angry. I think he may be a little worried as well.
Yeah,
a little pee in the pants, a little bit.
Honestly, too, I think he looks excited for the show. He's like, oh, some conflict.
Something fun for a change. But yeah.
Which leads me. I wanted to ask you guys about Gideon in general because.
I was
7 episodes in. I'm shocked. We've gotten maybe 3 minutes of screen time.
I really do think he's gonna be the star of the next episode.
Carson, you are like pulling thoughts right out of my head because I was literally
shocked.
Before this episode, I was like, I didn't have it in my notes, but I'm like, I'm going to talk to the guys about my kind of let down expectations of Gideon in this season, because people shit on Game of Thrones season 8 in terms of. Cersei, all she really did was stand on top of a green screen, sip her wine, and yell things at Daenerys. That's kind of what we're seeing from Moff Gideon this season. Granted, we haven't seen the finale. That could change. But from now, all we saw him do was poke his lightsaber in front of Baby Yoda, smirk at Baby Yoda, say some cool lines there in the last episode. He fired on he fired on Din's ship. That was cool, but he was still just in his hangar in front of a green screen. Or volume.
I want character. I want juicy character. We haven't.
I do think we have. Yeah, that's totally fair. I do think we're still in like a big setup stage for like more stuff.
Yeah.
Season 2.
Yeah, because season 3 is gonna be where it all goes down.
How long can they get away with that? How long can they get away with him standing there and being like, the big bad is looming in his ship?
Yeah,
the big bad is looming in his ship again.
It does also seem like they are setting up like bigger conflicts that are like that. I feel like are just going to get like knocked down a peg if they do succeed in getting the child back by next episode, which I don't think they will, because I feel like they like drop so much like info in the siege of like how they need the child for the. Being the blood donor for the cloning projects and stuff, and I feel like that's a big thing that they're trying to achieve with that. I feel like if you just like take him out so fast, and also interesting that I think this is the first episode of the entire show that Grogu does not feature at all any screen time.
Wow!
Yeah, it is not 1 second.
Wow.
Which makes me worried. I was like, because we got to Gideon's destroyer, and I was like, "Show me him. Is he okay? What has happened?" But we don't see him still, and I'm worried where we're gonna find what state we're gonna find him in next episode.
He's gonna be drugged up on a little
piano. Right, I'm calling it. He's gonna be in a mini bacta tank, all hooked up to tubes. Which would be
I think it's probably
so depressing.
Gonna be like it's probably be a depressing sight where you're just gonna see him like a couple IVs, like one sustain, one to continue the blood drain. It's horrible. But probably they're the Empire. They have baby shackles. They're Nazis.
Yeah, you're right. But back to Gideon, I want to mention, aren't
you a little let down? What's going on?
I'm not overly let. I mean, because we saw a hologram in him in episode 3. We got like a very brief glimpse of him in episode 4, and then we had
episode 6
very briefly again when he called in the troops, and then a little bit here.
He's in the same set. He's just talking to him.
He is, but I think things are finally going to start like to go down with the because Giancarlo has very much said how many dark sabers he broke, so I think we're going to get like some big stuff.
Where are those? I think at this point he probably just dropped them in between.
He dropped them in front of the tile. I was like,
oh shit! Take 3, take 4. Yeah. Crap. Can we get another one? Like,
John behind the camera, just like, oh my god.
Yeah, oh, you're killing me, dude. This is like $300, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like when they were saying how that dude punched the puppet, and they're like, "It's $1 million." No,
Yeah, don't do that. Please don't do that. But yeah, especially Giancarlo is such a great actor, and he teased us in these articles leading up to the season about like, oh, he's a very psychological villain, and he's going to be manipulating the characters this season. He hasn't done shit besides blow stuff up.
Well, I hope that just feels like the theories we've been having for the finale for the next episode of like the whole like, will he maybe like do the whole blackmail thing against for Bo-Katan protection or something, stuff like that.
Yeah, hopefully.
I want to see him. I want to see Moff Gideon. Back to the word choices. I want to see him. I think by season 3 we'll be able to be established enough in the show that we can cut to him more and see his choices within his day-to-day Empire stuff of like how he's manipulating people inside his rings, which I want to see.
Point of view.
Nathan really it's just took that out of my head. Like that's the first thing that came to mind was Callus, because Callus was a pretty mediocre villain in the first half of season 1, but in part 2 of season 1, when Tarkin came in, we really got to see a lot of Callus's like day-to-day stuff and how he was reacting to people like Callus.
Right.
People
we understand. We understand. We think we understand Gideon's hierarchy right now, but it's like, is he? We don't know if he thinks he's all that in terms of his cell of the Empire. We don't really understand that relationship to the bigger Empire, if there even is other cells, and we don't understand his end game with all the Baby Yoda and what that means for him and the Empire in general. All that.
And it sucks so much because, like, I think like a lot of this stuff like obviously reaffirms just like the hatred you would have for the Empire watching and stuff. But it also sucks just knowing that the future of the First Order is always on the horizon.
Yeah.
Right. And he seems to be innovative in the sense like he's got these dark troopers and he's pushing all these different projects. So I'm curious to see like how this stuff comes about and like how he's
in terms of like fueling the like obsessiveness of like some degree of like the power he's holding, I think it would be intrigued to see if like the ending of the finale, like and also like leading in with like the failure to rescue the child, would be like maybe because we know they're like the Empire is a very limited resource right now. It would be intriguing if like Gideon is like so obsessed with like keeping Grogu around to achieve their bigger plans that like maybe he has to like sacrifice like half or even like 3/4 of like whatever his existing like fleet on his ship is just to like get out of there. Like that just the pure obsessiveness.
That'd be pretty cool. It reminded me of what you just said there. It reminded me of Walking Dead season 3. I forget when he had the governor and like he tried to attack Rick and his whole plan turned to shit. But then afterwards, he survived, and he was like the only survivor. And we got a lot of cool character-centric stuff with the governor. We could see that with Moff Gideon. Like if stuff goes really badly for him this episode, but a little bit of his cell survives and he survives in an escape pod, for example, we could see him like try and avenge his mission in season 3, but starting from the bottom. Because right now he's always like up top. He's always had the resources. He's always had the people behind him. But in season 3, we could see him start off at a lower point. That could probably happen. I still hope though that he succeeds in capturing Baby Yoda in the finale as well. Like I really, as much as that final scene in this episode was awesome, Mando like telling him he's going to get his baby back. I really want him to fail. I'm sorry, but
I want it to be like I want it to come down to the thing like I would like to see them go head to head like Spirited Darksaber. Really, like I want to see like I want Din to see the state that Grogu's in, and I want just like his like pure rage to come out and just like the intensity. I think he'll like best Gideon in that moment, but like maybe he'll have like some kind of trick up his sleeve to slither away, and then just everything starts to fall apart and crumble in that sense.
We could see Mando get the overhand on on Moff Gideon. But then if Bo-Katan shows up and he says like, hey, I'll give you the Darksaber if you let me escape or if you let me get out of here with Baby Yoda. Because I still think Bo-Katan is going to be a very integral part of this finale.
Yeah, that's interesting because I keep like pitching like, what if like Din has to stop Bo-Katan, but what if it's coming down to like Bo-Katan has to stop Din? That's
right.
That's gonna be incredible. Again, and that's gonna be a great. And that's an example of a great character to have, Bo-Katan, because she would challenge Mando's idea of the creed of being a true Mandalorian, as we saw a little bit in this episode. We can see that extended upon in this episode, where either Bo-Katan or either Mando makes a choice, and that choice is going to really change the way they look at other Mandalorians and Mandalorians as a general culture. Like that just has so much like complexity and depth to it. I really hope they nail that.
I think they have to fail, and I think one of those scenarios is going to happen in the sense that it splits them all different ways, depending if it's between Bo-Katan and Din or Din and Moff Gideon, because I don't think season 3 can retread the Empire's on their tail.
We're on the run again.
Because I think it has to get bigger. It has to up itself and not be the same thing again in season 3. Like I think who knows what plot we're going to learn, what details we're going to learn about the Empire and Moff Gideon next episode, and maybe some little hints at Baby Yoda. Of course, we still got the lingering Jedi stuff that will be developed, and then of course all of the Mandalore and the different pods of Mandalorians. That's all there. But I think I don't think it can revert back to being like, okay, we have the child again, but Moff Gideon is still on our tail, because it just feels like it's just going to be a back and forth every season of they're going to get him, and then
it's going to be very close to Team Rocket territory if it's like, we can't take these people seriously, right? Like at this point, they get a win, sure, but then also Mando comes in and saves the day and beats him up again. It's like, come on, Mando can't keep winning. We can't keep using lightning bolt and winning the day. Like I want to see.
Such a great analogy.
I want to see Mando fail. One of the best episodes of Pokemon is when Team Rocket actually captured Pikachu. You're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Awesome. But then he gets rescued in the next episode. But I really hope, in terms of season 3, like Carson said, like, the status quo gets changed. I want something different. There's still a couple Mandalorians that we don't know about from his sect, the Watch, as we now know, that are still out there. Other Mandalorians that are close to Bo-Katan that Din hasn't met. And also we could see, like, I still want Moff Gideon to be the central villain, but most shows in like a season 3 or season 4 area bring in like some kind of third party or some kind of new antagonist. So I can kind of see them teasing a new figure, hopefully a new character, but a new person. We still don't know who Baby Yoda talked to in last episode. Right. So maybe they could be a bad person. We don't know if you talk to somebody good, somebody bad.
Right, which is totally flip the scale of things. Yeah. And how does Din feel about the Empire now that he's had personal stakes against them more and more? You know what I mean? It's like, if you remove Grogu from the equation, is Din going to be continually motivated to their disruption and ultimately destruction? Or is he going to be more concerned about his day-to-day life with his bounty hunting stuff? And, obviously he's moved past that. So that's a whole question I think season 3 needs to explore.
Some exciting stuff there. It's very curious. There's a lot of different routes this show can take. I just hope they go the route that we want. I mean, even if, because I don't want to set my expectations.
New Republic stuff as well. That's going to show up, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Because they tied up, they didn't tie up, but they teased the whole, what's it called? Not Trapper Wolf, but the one guy talking to Cara Dune saying, there are people in the New Republic,
They don't believe
what's going on here. But after this incident in the finale, maybe after this finale event, more New Republic people might get aware, or at least the people that we've seen in the past couple episodes, Carson and Wolf, like they could appear again in this episode.
I would love a little diplomatic angle to this show. I'm telling you,
me too.
It would be kind of hilarious if the man in shining armor walks into a damn Senate meeting and it's like, hey, you need to do something about the Outer Rim. Like, we're out here working our asses off, and they're terrorizing us, and you guys are sitting here in this, like, wherever. That could happen. Of course, Mandalore stuff could tie in. Yeah.
That could happen after he fails. What if he fails and the only people he has to turn to, instead of Mandalorians, because he doesn't trust Bo-Katan, perhaps, what if he has to go to the New Republic? And then he has to do what Carson just said, to have that meeting with them saying, I need you guys' help. help a brother out, please. Like my baby's gone. Like, ooh, that could be interesting.
Bring up some juicy Clone Wars and era relationships with how the Republic operated and how Mandalore tried to be neutral, but you bring in this is a time we can't be neutral. This is our democracy. Otherwise, this is going to grow out of our control. There's so much there.
Let's go. So excited.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think this show has a lot of great paths. Yeah.
One last question. Last week I said, who's going to die in this finale? We were all like, okay, it's probably going to be Mayfeld, right? He got his get out of jail free card in this episode, and he's not going to be in the finale. So let's kind of scratch his name off our list. Is anybody going to die in this finale? Is it Cara Dune?
What's his name? The blue guy from the Siege.
No.
I don't know if anybody has to die. Not Fennec. You don't like. She just got back.
Yeah, I'm just guessing. Nobody has to die. You're right.
Yeah, but if they did, I don't know.
Boba Fett. I'm sorry.
One of Gideon's officers. Again, also someone they just brought back. They're not going to do unless they make him go out blaze of glory. But
somebody shoots his jetpack.
Will Grief Karga be in this episode? Because I think that could be a potential death.
Oh wait, no, I was thinking Moff Gideon. I thought you were asking if Gideon was going to be this.
No.
Gideon.
Will Carl Weathers be in this next episode if it's all hands on deck?
I don't think so.
Where was he last episode when he was talking to Cara?
He's on Navarro.
He's the government Navarro. He's just doing his paperwork.
I just wish I saw him. I really like Carl Weathers because he just has that grandfatherly nature with the child. So
he is so good. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I were to pick like anybody that exists now to bite the death, I don't really think anybody because
that's fair.
Unless they get Cobb Vanth back and he's dead, and I'd hate that Cobb. But
if Fennec sacrifices herself to save Boba Fett, I'm walking out of the show.
God damn, no.
She's like, I have a life debt to you now.
Well, maybe she likes clones. She's in the Bad Batch. We'll talk about it. But yeah,
I'm sorry, AJ. I don't care if it's Boba Fett. AJ said it better not be Boba Fett. I'm like,
yeah. Look, this show is a lot of things. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of different paths we could go, but unfortunately, it also we've learned opens a lot of backdoor pilots. So we're going to discuss all of the future Lucasfilm projects that were revealed at the Disney earnings call yesterday. There's a lot of big things that dropped. I hope the list has it in order of reveal. If not, whatever, we'll just go through the list anyway, and we'll give our thoughts on every individual title. But Carson, if you have control, where are we going first?
Yes. Can I just say how beautiful it is that the tagline is "Get ready for Patty Jenkins"? I just love that's the lead off point.
What a surprise!
Oh my gosh, so exciting.
You know what? Let's just start with Rogue Squadron because I verbally screamed. I screamed. I was not ready for this whatsoever, guys. And I just said, Kelly was in the other room and she's like, "What are you?" I'm like, "Patty Jenkins."
We see the announcement first, Patty or the title?
Patty was.
Because I remember I'm like,
they had a video. They had a video for Patty that was kind of like hyping it. Okay, so it is the first one.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's start off with Rogue Squadron then. Yeah.
So I don't think they have a video here, but I was watching I actually watched the video for the first time today when I woke up because I had missed it yesterday. I was watching her video, just her talking about her. I think it was her father, like being a fighter pilot and like always.
Oh yeah, the quote's right here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she was like going on, and just like the whole like build up to it, like as she was like telling the story, I was like watching, and then like the music started to swell as she was like walking away in the jumpsuit and the X-wing open. I was like, God damn it, I'm crying. it's so nice.
It's incredible. Also, but I'm not the biggest fighter pilot fan in terms of the Star Wars universe. That's not what I gravitate to. I'm mostly a fan of the Force. Like that's what I gravitate to. But
me too. But I will say, like, that short that came out for Squadrons before the game launched, like that had me so invested. Like, and I was like, I would totally watch like a full feature like this.
Yeah, and similar to that short, I think Patty Jenkins can bring out a lot of emotion.
Right. If we have that backstory on a pilot, and it's going to be a lot more hard hitting because yes, piloting and stuff has been always important in Star Wars, but we've never like solely focused on like that area before, besides our main characters flying different ships.
Yes, and I'm an idiot because my favorite Star Wars canon thing ever, Lost Stars, is
Of
about fucking
course, that's
pilots.
yeah.
So I stand corrected now. I think Patty Jenkins can totally nail it. And it's funny because when we were complaining about Star Wars not doing female directors, they don't hire women directors. People are like, "Oh, Evan, what did they get Patty Jenkins?" I'm like, can they name somebody else besides Patty Jenkins? She's such a famous director. There's no way they're going to get her. She's doing Wonder Woman 1, 2, probably Wonder Woman 3. She's going to be too busy over the course of the next couple of years. But they got her. That's super surprising. I did not. I thought she would agree. I guess because they're doing that Wonder Woman Amazon spinoff, maybe she's just taking a little break. And I like this too because
there's that video. Cool.
It's good when directors take a break from their franchises. We've talked about this before. Didn't Nolan do Inception between Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah, it was like 2008 Dark Knight, 2010 Inception, 2012 Dark Knight Rises.
Which is good.
He also did Prestige after Batman Begins, I think.
Yeah,
Prestige is freaking.
I think only a year after.
Which is cool. Like I like it when directors take a break from their franchises. Otherwise, your franchises are going to get stale. I didn't know she could be taking a break to do a Star Wars movie. That's freaking incredible. I'm so happy for Patty. Yeah. I think she's a great choice, and
there's a lot of great buzz right now for Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah. Super good buzz. I was going to mention it yesterday on Mike and T, but we had such a busy episode. But the reviews are so good for Wonder Woman 84. Yeah. I'm so happy,
and I think it's inspiring too that Patty didn't direct a movie for 8 years after her first break, because she had the Thor offering, and then that didn't end up working out. And I don't think she directed anything until Wonder Woman for so long, and now for her to be propelled back into the limelight is just so amazing. And I think I always kind of knew. I'm like, it was feeling like that. There was so much. We talk about Kathleen Kennedy's legacy of this inclusion and diversity, and finally getting women and people of color behind the camera and behind the writing, especially. Is so important, and I think that's a lot of this part of the slate is going in that direction of doing that, and I'm just so excited that it's confirmed because for so long we're okay, we got the Leslie Headon show now, but can we get a big feature film director, it's a woman that can direct and just blow us all away, and we got Patty Jenkins. I'm like, it's probably gonna be Patty Jenkins or Ava DuVernay, but Ava's busy with DC, with New Gods, and
when New Gods even coming out?
I don't know, but we got Patty Jenkins, and I think this is gonna open the doors for a lot of things in Star Wars, which is perfect.
You better keep it up. Yeah, Patty Jenkins is a great get. When people talk about the best women directors right now, there's tons of great women directors, but of course the big names always were Patty Jenkins, Ava DuVernay, the person who did Zero Dark 30,
Catherine Bigelow.
Catherine Bigelow. People always talked about her too. But yeah, Patty Jenkins is a great get. And 2023, so it's not going to be Taika doing the 2023 movie, which we kind of suspected at first, but.
Yeah,
and it seemingly confirms that this is not a trilogy of these next.
Yeah, great point. Because
Ryan, where are you?
Rogue Squadron coming in 2023. Taika's movie probably now 2025, and that leaves the only options being Ryan's movie in 2027 or Kevin Feige's produced movie in 2027. Or
that rumor? Star Trek. What was that one director that got attached? Or was that
J.D. Dillard was attached? Yeah. And that was just one Hollywood Reporter article. That could have been not even.
Could have been just a talk of
Could have just been a talk, exactly. But yeah, this is super exciting. Post Rise of Skywalker.
And it doesn't say that explicitly here, but I believe in the actual presentation.
It doesn't say new,
kind of the wording.
Future era. Does it say that in that article?
What is your guys' percentage that out of 100 that they would get in any form of a sizable role of getting Oscar Isaac back?
0.
0 for like even if it's just like a quick cameo.
I don't. Why does everybody say that? You're the second person to bring that up to me today. Why is it with our Star Wars that we had? I'm tired of it when we have to bring up with our Star Wars. Which character is gonna show up? Why does it have to be about that?
It's only because the Resistance was so small. They were so small, and it's a squadron. I don't know.
We must tell new stories.
I want a cameo so I can point at the screen and say, I know that character. I want that to happen. I want that jolt of energy.
Like this. I just miss the sequel characters. Okay.
I do too. Which kind of sucks that we had nothing related to the, animated or otherwise to the show.
Yeah, we could have had Resistance season 3, but
will Resistance characters show up in Rogue Squadron?
Because Kaz be in Rogue Squadron.
Kaz shows up. Christopher Sean.
Kaz is in the novelization of Trust.
I am curious to see one.
Oh, here it is. Future era.
Where do you see that at?
He highlighted right there.
First paragraph.
I can't. I'm blind with glasses. Future era of the galaxy. I like that. Yeah. There. Oh, perfect. We zoomed in.
Where is it? Where?
Yeah. I'm terrible. Future era of the galaxy. So 2 questions. 1, how future is this era going to be? 10, 20, 50? I really don't care, but I really want all new characters either way. And what's the antagonist going to be in this new era?
Right. Very exciting.
If they steal the Empire, I'm going to be so.
They better not, right? It's impossible.
It has to be a new thing, right? It has to be. It's not in a vein of this a big empire. It has to
Resurrection
be
of the Nile. They're bringing the Nile back to the Republic. Full circle.
That is pretty cool.
Why does that work? That's like 500 years ago.
I mean, because it'd be a new sect of the Nile. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Acolytes. We'll get there.
You know what? I don't put it past them to show up at that show, though. Anyways.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Overall,
I think it'll be fun.
Super exciting, super fun. Yeah, I mean, Patty Jenkins is a great option for this. I'm super happy for her. I think it's going to be great. 2023. At this point, we could probably meet her at the Star Wars Celebration in 2022.
Definitely.
We'll probably get our first teaser trailer. Star Wars Celebration is August 2022, right?
Yeah. So I wonder when they'll film this.
It'll be interesting because usually we have our Star Wars Celebration the year of a movie. That's not going to happen this time. But at least we could probably get a little quick teaser trailer or some kind of, sizzle of the movie.
Mando season 4, all that.
Mando season 4, some of the other stuff they probably are going to announce later on.
I mean, we have a lot of shows coming. So
yeah,
I think this is not going to film until top of 2022. If I had to say,
yeah, I would say they could start filming. Yeah, either top of 2022, summer 2022.
I always remember whenever I watch the Director and the Jedi, I see them they're literally working on it in 2014 or 15, on The Last Jedi before Force Awakens is even out. They're calling Frank Oz about Yoda and everybody.
Honestly, my favorite teaser of all time is that little production tease.
Cut.
So cool.
It's so good. Cut. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
It's so perfect.
Hey, remember all the controversy? The lighting is too different. What's going on?
Oh, jeez.
It's guys, it doesn't matter.
Star Wars.
Yeah. I bet Patty is super happy that they announced this after a lot of the Wonder Woman press, even though we're going to have a little bit of press coming up for the movie. But now reporters can just constantly ask her about Star Wars instead of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Right.
And all the stuff about the industry shift as a whole, and Patty's a big proponent of IMAX and theatrical experience and all of that. So
she doesn't have to worry about this one going straight to streaming. Heyo.
Yeah.
Disney Plus premiere access.
Oh
God, please don't.
Anyway,
moving on though. This was definitely a highlight of the event for me. They really ended on a high note.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
and then I think next we have the Taika
Yeah. Okay.
which
cool.
we did. There's no logo. The logo.
Taika's doing
Taika's
Kenobi?
directing Kenobi? Like,
Holy crap!
I will not stand for Deborah erasure.
Oh, real quick. AJ in the comments said Darth Talon. No.
I don't think the villain.
Who is Darth Talon?
for
I think Talon, correct me if I'm wrong, AJ, is Talon a Sith post Return of the Jedi who fought Luke? I could be wrong, but that's what I thought. I'm not a huge
Sounds right.
Legends fan, so.
Is she the one? Is that the one who was like Darth Maul's apprentice in like those early?
Oh.
We were talking about, but then
In
we bring that up
Legends,
like
maybe?
with like George's sequels and stuff.
I thought we did,
Yeah,
too.
yeah, that's right. Remember we brought.
I could be right.
See,
yeah.
I don't want this villain to be.
Force sensitive.
I think force sensitive stuff could be in this movie, but I would like it to be more of a underdog story. Even though, I mean, obviously we see that in Star
Jedi
Wars all the
Finn.
time.
No. I'm trying to
like-
make. I keep trying to make sequels.
So what you're basically asking for, you want a Top Gun in Star Wars.
Yes
Were we
and no.
pitched that? Were we already pitched that somewhere? Like,
Were we?
I thought we were. Something Top Gun-esque was pitched in some franchise.
Can Tom Cruise be in the Patty Jenkins movie? Confirmed.
Oh my God.
He probably make a good like some.
He's
general
too busy going to space.
Can he be a
real
villain
space.
again, please? Like Tom Cruise, Collateral.
Have I ever seen Tom
Great.
as a villain? What was he a villain in?
In Collateral, one of the
In
best
Collateral.
movies of all time.
Oh, okay.
It's a great
I need
movie,
to watch
Nathan. You need to watch it. It's with Jamie Foxx. Fantastic. Everybody
So
can watch
good.
Collateral.
So
Anyway, Taika Waititi.
no news on Taika really, just in development. He's writing. There's some speculation about his
They
stuff
showed
even
some?
predating. They showed
we
a
have
little
an image?
logo.
They had some
there's
piece
no-
of art. They had like some like cosmic art, like this like big like
Yeah.
diamond thing coming from a nebulon explosion. I
Yeah,
have no
so
idea.
people are speculating that it's like the origins of the Jedi, or like even predating High Republic, which could be really interesting. I can't remember the book that people were sending me in chat today. Y'all are smarter than me in Star Wars canon.
Yeah, I was going to scroll up, but we talk a lot in the chat, so it's probably buried.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think it was about like the Dawn. I think it was Dawn of the Jedi. It might
Dawn
have
of the
been
Jedi. There it is.
Yeah, I think so. And they were like they showcased him next to like this like Star Wars logo like cartoon in stone. It looked like the holiday special actually.
It looked totally like the holiday special, so that had me weirded out. But knowing Taika, and
I mean,
the
if you could
logos-
do the holiday special good, like it would be Taika who could do it.
yeah, and knowing the logos for the Thor movies, like they're pretty out there and weird, but also they also have a lot of heart. So
Star Wars.
Yeah.
I like Kathleen Kennedy says here, it's going to be fresh, unexpected, and unique,
Fresh
which I like.
person.
I think you guys said it before, but
Mhm.
alien main character would be amazing. And I think they should do it.
Pick your species. Who do you want? I want Therm Scissor Punch.
They're not going to do it.
Therm Scissor Punch.
Remember?
Yeah.
Remember that name?
That's such a big deal when that came out. We're like, oh my God, what's Therm gonna do?
He literally just playing Sabak for like 3 seconds.
Amazing. Roll of the century.
I don't really need an alien to be the main character. Good side character. I mean, I wouldn't
Empire
be upset about it.
No, okay.
I know, right? I wouldn't be upset about it. I would welcome it. I just don't think it's likely. I don't really need it either.
You think it's a
but-
lot like you think it's like more taxing on the creature department in the budget?
That's in the creature department, and I just think audiences aren't ready for that. I'm not sure. I could be
What if
wrong.
it was like a Twi'lek, like
Yeah, no.
all right.
No, wow, okay.
Nah, I'm
I
good.
I swear
we
you were on
go
board with
with
this
it.
a couple months ago. Like,
You don't want
I
you
think I
don't want a
to.
Harris
That would
spinoff.
go-
You don't want a Harris spinoff show.
Hey, yeah, and that. I mean, I do animated.
And yeah,
yeah.
honestly, give me Hera and the squadrons.
I only say that because I think
Stop it, Nathan.
it'd be cool if he did like a.
I forgot live action. Never mind. Never mind.
Because
I'm
we
about to
don't
go off
really
on-
get like what's it called like a really. I mean, we see species, but we don't really understand like species to species relations that much. I mean, it's usually just off to the side. Like, I would love like a story that tackles that
Basic
that kind of
basic
oppression in the
languages.
universe.
That'd
Yeah.
be cool.
Like
like I said, I would welcome it. That'd be cool. I'm just
Yeah.
not over the moon.
Yeah.
But knowing Taika, it could probably happen. Taika's very weird and crazy, and like we saw, or like we're seeing apparently, like these are not connected, but Disney, Star Wars, Lucasfilm, letting these directors come in probably with a great pitch and just do whatever the heck they want, regardless of these connections, which is ironic considering what we're getting with Mando and the other shows. But yeah, these don't seem to be connected, which I really like.
Yeah. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
All right,
And
let's get
they don't confirm 2025 for him, right? They don't, but
no.
That's what we're assuming, right?
date.
Collectively.
Look at the
got
eye.
it.
Look at the final eye. It's a lightsaber.
Obi-Wan can know by. Interesting.
I knew it. No. Yeah.
Okay, is there- okay.
Big old news. Look at so that's Obi-Wan right there. No.
Yeah, they have a whole paragraph of one. Jeez. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, whole deal.
Remember they go over like how he was announced like forever ago. Forever we've been hearing about this. They reconfirmed Hayden Christensen will be returning specifically as Darth Vader, not like centering like Anakin.
Wait, before you say that, we got the official time period. We didn't have that before.
Yeah,
of
10 years after Revenge of the Sith, which is 9 years before A New Hope. So it's like smack in the middle of the timeline. 5 years.
How old is Luke here?
10.
10?
10.
Yeah.
Which
Okay.
makes sense from that casting that we heard about child casting for Luke and Leia, right?
Give me the Leia Senate Cassian stuff. The theory.
Yeah.
I want the tie-in duology. All right. But yeah, so that's our time period, which is 5 years prior to Rebels, 5 years after Fallen Order. So that's interesting.
His greatest defeat, the downfall and corruption of his best friend and Jedi apprentice Anakin Skywalker turned evil Sith Lord Darth Vader. Dang.
Yes. Directed by Deborah Chow.
Woohoo!
Hell yeah. This will truly be a day long remembered. As it was confirmed that Hayden Christensen will be returning as Darth Vader. This will be the rematch of the century, Kennedy said.
Crickets.
I'm not bothered because I have never I have not been the guy who like locked onto that specific A New Hope line as like law, because I feel like there could still be room.
I'm sorry. I take a line in the film as value. I'm sorry.
Canon, as
I'm
canon.
sorry, I'm what somebody says.
Well, I mean, like, I feel like there's ways you can interpret. Like he said, when I left you, I was but the learner, now I'm the master. The man can still learn a lesson post, like.
If I'm an apprentice of
Lessons are not
somebody
just
and I leave and I come back, I'm not your freaking apprentice anymore. I quit. I'm done.
Okay,
I'm not your apprentice.
you think he was still taking lessons from Obi-Wan when they fought over lava falls? Like,
I mean, no, but in that same day, that same week, he was a freaking apprentice to Obi-Wan.
when he left him, he wasn't.
Anakin was wearing Jedi clothes. You're still a Jedi at that point. You're still my apprentice, motherfucker.
Hey, you're killing younglings. You're still.
You're killing young Jedi. Well, forget about it. Forget about it. But
I mean, still,
he's still an apprentice.
Yeah.
Um,
Here's my fear.
When I'm free,
yeah.
I'm back.
I always envisioned this show as like,
Yeah. Okay.
as like the scale of it being more like intimate and like, okay, we're gonna get like this kind of like force, really kind of unique force stuff because it's a man standing on this planet. We got to kind of get creative with what he's dealing with in the past and the present.
You were pitching him sneaking around Coruscant,
yes,
like a little ways from Vader.
because they never meet, and that triggers the stuff that triggers his memories and PTSD, and like them being in the same proximity with each other. Which I think would be cool if they explore a connection that they can't identify, but it's those two on separate point of views interfering with each other. I just don't want them meeting and fighting in person because it just feels a little bit jarring and too much of an event for it to be in the show. For some reason, it just feels weird as a fill-in, as the kind of, I don't know, I guess we've always had the idea that this is going to be like the Logan of the Obi-Wan whatever.
Yeah, we did.
But I don't know. It makes me uneasy.
I mean, I think I've always like because a lot of like the stuff like with Mando and stuff like I keep going on about like we keep hitting the fan service with Boba Fett and all that, but I think from the jump for my brain has like had an acceptance of some fan servicey things with Obi-Wan just because of like its existence as a whole anyway, because it's just like, oh, we're back with Obi-Wan, like
Yeah.
I
But
can
there is a compelling narrative there with
Yeah.
whatever conflict shows up in this show. He's going to be dealing with his past, right? Of dealing with having to reconcile that. And whatever shows up in the present is going to deter him from being able to protect Luke, which is a compelling narrative, whatever he has to do.
Yeah.
And, maybe Bail Organa shows up and there's some more stuff that's happening in the galaxy. Of course, the fallout of Order 66 and even, just the loneliness of not being able to be connected to everybody. And like, he's talking to people, but he's in isolation technically with himself. So I think there's a compelling narrative there, but I think it scares me that it explicitly says Hayden is Vader and the rematch of the century part. Because I want this show to get unique in how their relationship evolves.
Your tagline for this series shouldn't be a rematch of the century. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi set after Return of the Jedi or Revenge of the Sith. The tagline should be Obi-Wan grappling with what happened. It shouldn't be about a fight. And that's what comes down to my main negative about this whole announcement was that I'm super happy that Hayden's coming back. I really like that he's coming back. We expected him to come back. We were excited. The negative is the fight, because it just screams, one, fan service, and two, unnecessary fan service, because it wouldn't add anything to the story, at least what we know so far right now. Because there's two lines that people are picking up on. One that we just talked about in terms of I was a learner, you're the master, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And that one kind of negates the whole fight. But then there's the one that Deborah Chow even mentioned in somewhere else where she said, like, there was a line in Return of the Jedi, though, where Vader says, Obi-Wan once thought as you did. And a lot of people who took that line went on to say, oh, well, then that means there could be a fight or an encounter with Vader where Obi-Wan is still grappling with thinking like, hey, maybe I still can turn this guy. And maybe after this fight, Obi-Wan is officially like how he is in the sequel, in the original trilogy, where he's firmly on, Luke, you got to kill this motherfucker. You got to kill this guy. There is no turning Vader, because in the original trilogy, Obi-Wan is very firm on Luke saying, you have to defeat Vader. You have to kill him. Maybe in this series, we're going to come to terms with Obi-Wan grappling with what happened in Revenge of the Sith, and then Obi-Wan, when he counters Vader again, being like, okay, now there's no hope for this guy. Granted, I don't want that, but I can see that happening. It just feels like they fight, and guess what? They're both going to come out alive. What's the stakes here? We know Obi-Wan goes back to Tatooine. We know Vader goes back to the freaking Death Star or Star Destroyer.
Haven't we had discussions before where like we know how outcomes are going to turn out, but it's like the journey that's going to be.
The journey.
No, we've said something before.
We trust. I don't know. I'm tired of all this trust crap. And I don't really. You're right, Nathan. You're right, but because we got that with Clone Wars season 7, in terms of what was happening to exactly.
And even to the point you were saying, I could see it being like a lot of like.
Even then, it wasn't as integral as there wasn't a line saying where Ahsoka says, "Me and Maul like never fought." Maul and her had lines in Rebels, which made it seem like they're gonna fight or whatever. We knew Ahsoka's gonna survive, but there's so much unknowns. They're fighting. Like, what's an unknown here? Like, they're gonna fight and they're gonna survive. I don't know what there is to be excited about. People just like it because it's gonna look cool. That's all it is. People are excited because they want to see a cool looking freaking lightsaber fight.
Look, it is gonna look cool.
But Star Wars are freaking lightsaber fights. That's what we get the prequels for.
I know, but I feel like to your point, you were saying that I know you were saying you wouldn't like. I feel like it could be a Twilight of the Apprentice scenario between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and I think there's the highlight is not necessarily going to be like, oh my god, they're having a lightsaber fight, but I think it'll be like the emotion coming from like the knowledge of knowing that Anakin is truly lost in this time, or even if like Anakin himself will have any like sort of like thoughts or feelings, or maybe if he like tries to sway Obi-Wan over as like an Inquisitor or something, like trying to like rekindle something.
That's a great comparison. Or you can say, Carson.
I was just gonna say I just never like it seems to me this time period reflects loneliness in both Anakin and Obi-Wan. And for me, it seems weird to pit that connection back together, however salvaged it is, when I'd much rather have them struggling on their own and struggling with their memories of each other and struggling with the presence in the force that they can't necessarily identify as this person and like, okay, now we're gonna meet up and like settle our debts or whatever. I don't know. It just seems like a weird pinnacle thing of like, okay, we're gonna come together and rematch. I just don't know how the plot's gonna get to that point, but maybe I'll be on board.
Maybe
what I want it to be is like I feel like when everybody like hears this, I think like the brain automatically jumps to like, oh, look how cool the saber fight's going to be. But I would actually be more enthralled and impressed if they went around, like if they do a lightsaber fight, that they do so where they're on, like it's more like a one-sided fight where like probably Obi-Wan like doesn't even like want to do, like it's more like of a defense thing, like not an attack, because like in Revenge of the Sith he didn't want to, but like he was sent to take out Anakin. But I feel like here he's just kind of like letting Anakin like take out whatever anger he needs, and just like one-sided battle like that would be
that's a good point.
really impactful.
But then I think of A New Hope, right? And I think Obi-Wan, I think Ben Kenobi in that is, I think he's still on like defensive of like he's being that distraction in the moment, like he's taking care of that, so the galaxy and the spark of hope can move on. It's not like he's on the offensive.
You remember he just like tapped it away?
He's not on the offensive in any sense. Like
and it just seemed at that point in New Hope that he just seemed so grounded to his life on Tatooine before that point, and he seemed so like he had
he accepted it. He accepted it. And I want to see what comes at acceptance, because certainly there's going to be something that before that where he's not in that mindset.
Because the Ben Kenobi we know, he's not as hung up on, but like when he's asked about it, he kind of like has that like little uncertainty, but like he's pretty smooth with Luke about it all and like keeping it under wraps.
Because right now we have to grapple with, this is going to be an Obi-Wan that for, let's say, 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, so 10 years he's on Tatooine, and then he encounters Vader. A couple years later, he encounters Maul. I was like, so much stuff goes down for this guy that we didn't expect now at this point.
I kind of feel like,
I
kind of feel like just thinking about the canon of it all, that I think this rematch that they're describing could be what sets the attitude that the Ben Kenobi will have, like when he faces Maul and Twin Sons. Is just like more like, all right, I've made this creation, I'm going to like handle it.
That's a good point too. Yeah.
But, what do you mean by that? I mean, I think I took Obi-Wan's philosophy in Maul's episode Twin Sons to be about like, this isn't your story, you have an obligation, let's focus on that. So are you saying like,
I think for Ezra, but I think also Ezra kept kind of like putting the whole like judgmental weight of Maul on himself, but like Obi-Wan's existing past, he was just like, all men this old wound and stuff. I think when we meet him in Kenobi, he's going to be in a more depressive state, but like by the time we see him in Twin Sons, he's like a lot more accepting of just like the fate he has been dealt, and he's just watching over the child. He's watching over the son of his greatest failure, and he doesn't want a repeat of what's
totally. And I can see this series ending or beginning with Obi-Wan still grappling, like what Carson said, having possible nightmares, Clone Wars flashbacks, building up to like, maybe I can change this guy. Maybe he discovers that Anakin, or he already knows Anakin is Vader. Maybe he discovers that Vader is around or nearby, and he has one quick decision, a quick Luke Empire Strikes Back moment, rash decision to do something, come into contact with Vader. And then afterwards, the series ends with him saying, like, okay, now I know my purpose. Which, again, would still mean, like, his fight wouldn't be necessary.
It's not necessary, but it's happening.
It is, I guess. It's happening.
I also see a route in which Obi-Wan has always been, like, the embodiment of what the Jedi wanted a Jedi to turn out as, right?
Mm.
And so it's like now that he's failed, it's like I think he's gonna neglect that a little bit, like kind of a little bit, how that guilt that Luke has like later on in the galaxy of like, man, like
I swear if we
the
get
Force is kind of.
I swear if I see comments of just like they've ruined Obi-Wan, that's not who he is. I swear to God, because that's literally the most like accepting person to feel the exact same way. As Obi-Wan.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I want that angle, and we talked about it before. I think it'd be interesting if we get some stuff on Tatooine of maybe something forces his hand out, and then someone kind of sees him, and like that kicks off some plot. That would be
I'm
cool.
so excited for a lot of the Owen Lars and Beru Lars conversations and events. Like we can see that probably building up, saying like, you didn't do Jack for Anakin, or you didn't do all this, and then like pushing the blame on him, and that could possibly propel him to be like, you know what, F this, I'm gonna go fight Vader again and maybe defeat him or do what I have to do, and then come back like even more lost and more focused. I mean,
I think I've also pitched before, like it would be great to have a scene of like that realization that Obi-Wan didn't finish the job with Anakin, and like realizing that he is this machine, I think would be a great moment. And also, like, I think the biggest thing, whenever I thought of like, I really hope Hayden comes back, is it's never been in the sense of Vader. It's always been the sense of like having a more established like Clone Wars era flashback time with them in prequels, which don't classify as the same as like animation to live action, because they already existed in live action prior to that.
Yes, prior to Clone Wars.
It's just more of an expansion, really, of like their dynamic, and plus they'll be under no offense to George, but like under a better influence of dialogue written and stuff like they had in the Clone Wars, and with their performances guided a lot clearer. I think we could get like some of the best we've ever seen out of these characters that also have like a built dynamic and chemistry and friendship in real life.
I completely agree. I mean, Joby Harrell is going to win an Oscar or an Emmy for this writing.
All right, well, under the guise of
I'm kidding. I fully agree with you, Nathan. As I'm talking with you guys, I still do seem it's unnecessary, but I can kind of see the mindset that Deborah is. I'm kind of lessening down on my hatred of this rematch.
Yeah,
I still hate the words rematch of the century when you're hyping up a show.
I'm sure it's just marketing pitch. I'm sure.
Yeah, because she knows what that means. Like it's
exactly. Don't hype up a battle. Star Wars fans, I know they love their lightsaber battles, but don't hype a battle. When I watch Star Wars, watch it for battles.
I've seen people that I know from my hometown that are posting on like Instagram, like, "Oh, Star Wars is back! Like Darth Vader rematch of the century." I'm like, it's not what it's gonna be, guys.
I hate that like so many people just jump on stuff like that. It's like that's not what Star Wars should be. It should be like more meaningful. And
yes.
For all we know, I know it's like his rematch of the century, which makes it sound grandiose. But like, what if it ends up being a twin son scenario where like three moves?
Nathan, I was right about to say that, because I'm like, what else did people call the rematch of the century? The people were hyping the fuck up about Maul versus Obi-Wan, and guess what? It was 10 seconds. People hated it at first, but guess what? It's a work of art. I love it.
You know what?
Not saying that we're going to get that, because I fully doubt in live action we're going to get something as fast with Vader and Obi-Wan, because Vader has a different mindset. Maul was so upset and so like in his own head. That's why he was so fast. That's not going to happen with Vader, who's more composed at this time.
It's kind of contradicted in Rogue One, but what I love is like what they did with Vader in Rebels. What I love what they did with Vader in Rebels is when they have the whenever they have him like fighting with and doing lightsaber battles, he's like very slow in his movements. It's very like precise and calculated.
Yeah, that form 5, like just fool.
Yeah. Instead of
exactly. I don't want any.
I like the Rogue One scene, but like
I'm thinking about these Clone Wars flashbacks, and I'm thinking about just like a flashback to like a pretty like a pre-Attack of the Clones like training scene where Anakin's like obviously grown up, but like at the end of like kind of before Anakin really comes into his own, like that before Anakin kind of sees himself, like that era like of training, like the very tail end of the training.
Bring the ponytail back, or the
yeah,
Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, Coruscant and the volume.
Yes. I would kill for
elevated by the fact that if we get my beautiful angle of sneaking into Coruscant and we just cut right back to empty Obi-Wan, Coruscant, nothing there, just lonely Obi-Wan, tear down Ewan McGregor's face as he comes out of the flashback or force back or whatever.
That'd be crazy.
Okay,
but let's move on because there's a lot of 8 other shows to talk about.
Imagine seeing like Padme's old apartment, but it's like abandoned, like damaged.
Oh. That wasn't the Darth Vader comic that I was just reading. Ooh. Vader goes back to Padme's apartment to look for a dead body.
Oh, wow.
And it's all damaged and stuff.
That could be a good thing, yeah.
But yeah, this was I will say this is the one instance where like there's like fan service stuff in like the topic where I was okay with, but now we're gonna get into stuff where
we expected fan service for Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is a fan service project, so I totally expect people like.
But
Padme
we all love Ahsoka.
Yes, she's great.
It's known. Rosario did great in her limited time in Mando. I thought like, hey, this was well done. It looked great. I don't want the full series, which I'm also afraid this is probably a replacement of Rebels because she's looking for Thrawn.
Yeah.
I will say it again, and I will scream it into the heavens. You cannot continue the Rebel storyline in live action. You just cannot logistically writingly, that's not a word, but in terms of writing a show, oh my God. If people watch Ahsoka, which a lot of people are because of Mando, they're going to be like, A, who the heck is Thrawn? B, who the heck is Ezra? C, who the heck is Sabine? Why is Ahsoka looking for Ezra? What's going on here? I'm confused about the moral motivation of the story. It will make no sense. I don't think it's going to happen.
Also, in the realm of randomness and like the craziness of that canon has introduced through Rebels and Clone Wars, this whole logo, the blue is associated. It's the same as the World Between Worlds. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That for a general audience, what the hell?
They're not even going to touch World Between Worlds in the show. Maybe even a quick rep.
You think like a general audience in like a live action viewpoint is going to like fully understand the breakdown of like the Mortis and like the connective gateway? Right?
Not at all.
Here's my gripe with this: is that Filoni is going to be tackling producing writing, which I'm happy for him, but also if he's going to be continuing with Mandalorian and this they're both producing the New Republic Rangers, which all 3 of those shows are taking place in the same timeline, apparently being interconnected. So I'm scared that their attention is going to be split between 3 different shows, and so
their MCU
actual main show is going to have like a third of the like. Okay, we could have been writing like more centered around this show, but now we're gonna so now we're all gonna be backdoor piloting with each other constantly and jumping around episodes and seasons. So that's what I just don't like.
Yeah, and I've said like
fair.
Obviously I'm a gigantic fan of the MCU, but like applying such a formula to Star Wars doesn't feel proper. I am relieved because I didn't pick up on I see that Ahsoka is a limited series, so that's a little more reassuring. So it's not like multiple seasons, but
yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. I didn't recognize that.
Limited
I kind of expected that though.
I will. What was your guys' like feeling when they first popped up on the investor screen? Because as soon as I like saw it, I didn't have a sense of like, wow, they're doing it. I was like, so it's come to this.
I was really bracing myself. I was also excited because he didn't mention Boba Fett. I was really gonna barf in the trash can if they mentioned Boba Fett.
It's so weird because like at first they were like Rangers New Republic. I was like, oh, interesting, and then like Ahsoka, and I was like, oh.
And then they said overly connected. And it's funny, we were just talking yesterday night about the Marvel series and how excited we are because they seem to be focused just on that series without having an overly connection. Like you're gonna have those characters tie into the movies, but the series itself is gonna be contained. That's not what it seems to be for Ahsoka. I could be completely wrong. Ahsoka could have her own self-contained story, but with her tracking down Thrawn, that's already seeming a little bit.
Does this answer the question definitively that this is gonna be those events of like after Rebels? I guess.
I don't think it's still. I think it's still ambiguous. I think we still don't know.
So ambiguous.
I want to believe, but after Filoni himself was saying like it could be prior to the Rebels thing, and then
I am praying. Like my hype level for this show would still be low, but it would grow if I knew this takes place before the Rebels animated.
I mean, every Star Wars thing.
What would she be doing though? Like, what would?
I still don't even understand how Thrawn has like an semblance of power if he's
neither. If he's still in the outer regions, how does he have an apprentice? Yeah. If he's still in the
if this is before, what I'm confused about, if this is before the epilogue Rebels thing, what is she doing? Like, I guess she's more just popping in and out in that show, right? It's like
I don't know when this is taking place because again, like when Ahsoka returns back from the World Between Worlds, it's still like before A New Hope, and I'm pretty sure she meets with Sabine after Battle of Endor, Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, so there's a whole gap of like what she did during the original trilogy.
That's a solid 5 years, and it's a 5-year gap to Mando. But if that's what I'm worried is like if this takes place like after Mando,
right? It is. Will continue. It's continuing the. Like I said, it's going to be in the timeline.
But also, like, I would just be really excited if this took place before the Rebels animated successor show, because if it took place afterwards, it just the Rebels successor show would have no stakes anymore. Yeah. It would just be like, oh, so we know that Thrawn escapes, and we know that Ahsoka lives, and we know that et cetera, et cetera, et cetera happens. It's
and I also want to believe that the Rebels sequel is still animated, but the fact that we got like other animated things announced, but not that out of like 10 new titles is troublesome.
I mean, we didn't get a lot of animated announcements though. All we had was like Bad Batch was already confirmed, and besides that, we have like
but if you count all the shows and you count the top announcement of the 10 shows,
like 10 new
there's 9
projects and all that,
Yeah, it's depressing because again, I just can't see what the appeal of a live action sequel to the Rebels storyline would be, because just A, it would be so confusing, and B,
it feels like an overdevelopment. Because I'm like,
it's so limiting. Like the Rebels successor show, the epilogue gave us hope for not Ahsoka, but finding Ezra, or the focus. It wouldn't be called an Ahsoka show, is what I'm saying. Like an Ahsoka
show, she would be an integral part of that. She would be supporting because it's an ensemble.
Exactly. That's why it's called Star Wars Rebels. It's not called Star Wars Ahsoka.
Yeah, and like you're saying, like when like the whole ending of Rebels, when Ahsoka shows up, it's like, oh, cool, because like Ahsoka's looking very sage-like, but it's primary like the whole like crux of that finale was a big sacrifice from Ezra, who then we learn is still out there with Thrawn, and it's like that's intriguing. We want to know what happened to them.
So it's like what do we have to tell if that's not the immediate thought in the plot? Like, what if that's not the immediate kind of driving factor? It's like,
and also,
do I need 6 episodes of random stuff? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and also when it came to like the Rebels sequel, like my whole thought process wasn't like the whole series is like the search for Ezra. I thought it would be like a little bit search for Ezra, and then wrap up his story as it is.
Right. Yeah. And wrap up Ahsoka's story, or like what's Ahsoka's end thing. Of course, how do they all feel about First Order remnants coming to play? There's all sorts of stuff that I think that show would do. Also, the fact just the absence of Kanan and having Jason Syndulla.
It makes no sense to me that Filoni would forget about all that. Like this show,
it feels so sparse. It feels sparsed out. It feels like it's like I'm feeling like they think, okay, we're gonna divide and conquer, and it's all gonna unify somehow. But by dividing it, I feel like we're just chopping it up too much, and that's what I'm worried about.
It also feels weird, and just like I was like when you had like Rosario Dawson playing Ahsoka versus Ashley Eckstein, like I was more accepting because it was like a limited like 1 episode live action appearance, I
Right.
was like, okay, that functions. But if we're spending like such a long form, probably like 6 hour time period of like following into live action Ahsoka, it feels like disjointed from the Ahsoka I've known for the last like 12 years.
Yeah.
It's just, again, like, I like Ahsoka, but I also want to learn more about what's going on with other characters, and I don't want that to continue in live action. It's so limiting
Mhm.
compared to animation. But
Really,
Yeah.
we even like, I mean, they confirmed as much when they had to like literally like change her appearance with her
mhm,
her head structure for stunt work. It's like,
yeah,
you see, you have acknowledged that doing this in live action is hindering. Why are you
yeah.
doing it?
And they're not going to mention space whales or anything like that in Ahsoka. So again, I really don't think it's going to continue the Rebel storyline. At least I hope not. But moving on, though,
What
Rangers
is
of the New
this?
Republic.
So
What
I
is
heard
this?
this. Was it?
What is
Culminate-
this? What does this culminate into a story event across
This
the
is-
shows?
This is what we're just talking about, right?
Yeah.
With the future stories interacting and culminating into a cinematic event, which is contrary to like a lot of what the Marvel's doing.
That is a very Top Gun logo. Bringing back what we were saying.
You're right. Now this is a series that it's at the bottom of my hype list, but if Cara Dune is not attached to this series, it might go up. I could see getting excited about new characters set in the New Republic, having that green outlook on what life is after the fall of the Empire. Something not as jaded as people in Mandalore, but people were more hopeful. And maybe they then become
So you
jaded.
get the back and forth between optimism and pessimism, the outer
Exactly.
Yeah. And I didn't like see all the info or like hear it properly, but when I did see this logo, I was instantly thinking like this is probably like the, at least including the X-Wing pilots that we keep following in the Mandalorian that keep popping up this season.
Yeah.
Or
those characters,
around those kind of people.
Maybe not Dave himself. Maybe not Dave as
those characters don't seem as interesting at all
Important.
to lead a series.
But it also made my brain go, oh, it's another backdoor pilot from Mando.
Yeah, I know, right? But it would intersect with future stories, so that could tie into what we're going to be seeing in the aftermath of the Mando season 2 finale. Maybe like what we were talking about with Mando season 2, there could be a big event. More people are starting to get onto Moff Gideon. Maybe that's it. I really hope the cinematic story event is not a Thrawn related. That would really upset me. But
yeah, I mean, I'm thinking Thrawn's going to appear in the Ahsoka series. Unfortunately,
that would make.
Yeah, I guess this feels like an afterthought to me. This feels like, oh, it'd be cool. It feels like a back on Iron Man thought. It feels like it'd be cool if we like did this story. Like what, I wonder where these pilots flew off to after they left. They went back to their base. Like
they can obviously they can make me care about them while the show comes.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a grasp on where things are going.
Yeah, me too.
I feel whenever I see this, I'm thinking about the X-Wing pilots, but then I'm also thinking like Patty Jenkins is going to deliver that theatrically anyway.
Yeah. So. And culminating into a whole cinematic event, it just seems like a lot of it just equals connections to me, and I don't really want that. Because I like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, but I don't want 3 shows about their style. Because 2 seasons
and they're producing every one, so it's like there could be
2
tied up
seasons
between
now.
3 things.
I like Mando, but I get the sense of what their style is. It's like a mission of the week, and then something happens. Like I don't want 3 shows about that. I'm like,
doesn't this feel like we're in the weird fanboy timeline where everybody is like, Filoni should be the head of Lucasfilm and everything should be taking charge of like the interconnected side plot. It's weird.
Yeah.
Weird times indeed.
Yeah.
But
so let's go down.
The next one is also a bit of a puzzling one, which we heard about, but
this one, it gives me a little more hope.
There's no logo.
Yeah, that's weird. It's a little weird, but also it gives me hope from like a stepping stone perspective for Make Solo 2 happen, because I'd imagine they're gonna get Donald Glover for it. Calrissian Chronicles, we initially thought, but
I mean, I'm gonna kind of sound like a hypocrite because I was saying I don't like all these connections, but if what Nathan is saying, it could be a stepping stone for Make Solo 2, then I would be on board because I want Solo 2 to happen. But
also Billy D tweeted it out today, and I was like, "This is interesting if he's a part of it." Like, I don't know if they're gonna.
I'm sure that's probably just that could just be. Well, I think it could be like not only a legacy thing, but we had also pitched like the idea of like Young Indiana Jones, how Harrison narrated that series.
Exactly. Yeah, where he just says like, back in my day, I
I'd
did
be here
this,
for
and then
that.
it jumps into this. But I don't like character centric stories, like just Lando. Like I don't like that. I
Right. Like
want I want
why
someone
is
to
the
move.
selling point Lando when the events that Lando is set in is much more compelling with just call it the event, so
Yeah,
call it not Crimson Dawn because that's not like a show title, but
yeah.
I don't
A lot
know.
of stuff around him in that era is more compelling. Um, and what was I going to say? Yeah, Lando isn't the most interesting character, and after Andor and after Kenobi, I want Star Wars to move away from character-centric stuff. Is why
Right.
I'm not excited for Ahsoka. But Lando is an interesting character. He had some great comic book series. Uh, there could be some fun adventures. This one just doesn't scream a lot of substance. Um, I don't
It
see
feels
like
like a
what kind
buzz.
of
It feels just like a buzzword. It's like, all right, Lando, like,
yeah.
um, you know him, so you're gonna watch. Which I don't like. It just seems like I don't know. I just don't like
Yeah,
that. That's
my
the leading point.
yeah
Exactly.
my only like I said, like my hype really just generates from the thought of like at least this seems like Disney has listened to some of the solo hype that because I would
Right.
100% bet that Donald Glover is going to return. So
Oh,
Mhm.
I
one
think
thousand
it
percent.
could.
Yeah.
I think it could aid to get us those. I remember there was also, for some reason, we were hearing rumors of like individual solo projects, like Kira here, Solo here,
Hmm.
Lando here. So
Which it may
it
just be
wasn't.
all this project.
Yeah,
That could all just be one show. We keep screaming that. Like you can do it in
yeah.
20 shows.
It should be one show, but like if they're already like looking into other things being like interconnected, then it should be the solo stuff.
So yeah, maybe when after Lando comes out, then they can move into solo projects. Real quick, we didn't mention, but what do you guys think for release dates for the last three things we talked about, like Ahsoka, Rangers of the New Republic, and Lando?
It's very interesting
Um,
because we got the
yeah.
confirmation that Mando season 3 is en route for Christmas or fall
Yeah,
winter of 2021.
specifically
Obviously,
Christmas. Yeah,
that's going
December.
to be out the gate. Kenobi's going to be out the gate filming early next year, and then of course Cassian just started filming, and then so do we add a fourth production in 2021 to have a layered 2022 release with Cassian, Kenobi in another show,
I was
or
thinking
you know what I
actually
mean? Like,
Cassian could come out next year, right?
So did
oh,
I.
I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, I meant Kenobi in another show. Kenobi's going to be 2022.
I could see next year we get Bad Batch in the early like spring summer area,
Yeah,
and then Cassian in the October area, leading
and then
into
Mando. Yeah,
Mando in December, and then 2022 we could get
Kenobi is definitely be like
Kenobi.
March or
Kenobi's
something.
definitely 2022,
Yeah.
and then I could see Ahsoka maybe 2022 as well.
Hmm.
Um, Rangers of the New Lando screams 2023 to me. Um,
Hmm.
it just because that says
Yeah, just
in
a very
development.
short
It's
paragraph, like
developing
in
the story.
development. Yeah.
So New Republic and Ahsoka could both be 2022 on top of us on top of Kenobi, but then that also means are they going to do a Mando season 4 in 2022 as well? That's like
Wait,
four
yeah,
Star Wars
that's the
shows.
big question I have
I don't
because
think
like
Mando
How many
season 4.
Marvel projects just got announced? Like, I mean, I
Sure,
feel
but
like
Marvel has a more streamlined production thing than Star Wars at this point.
so
they do,
we've
but
been
I was
talking
also
about
shocked.
this for
I was
years,
also
right?
shocked.
Of
Yeah, but I was also shocked at like how Disney Plus was rolling out the Marvel shows like
yeah,
back to back to back in the first half of a year.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
true.
And how does that feel? I guess we've had some pretty big Star Wars years in terms of just sheer amount of content these past few years. But how is it going to feel if Star Wars becomes that back to back to back? Are we going to, of
This
course, we
question's
all
been
love Star Wars,
posed.
right? Like,
Uh,
but we haven't
That's a
seen
deeper
it in
discussion.
action. We haven't seen it in
yeah, we're
action.
here
Like, if we
now.
have 3 live action shows, 2 animated shows, a movie in the same year, how are we going to feel about all of that being in one year? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Because remember,
it's
the
like
discussion was like, oh, 2 movies a year. What is it going to feel like? And then like, this is just a whole new level that we
well,
haven't
this year
even.
was this year was interesting because like all we had this year was the Clone Wars finale and Mando season 2, and
Mhm.
we definitely like felt the gap between the finale on May the 4th versus the premiere. Like the whole build up to it was like because we also aren't getting a Star Wars film at the end of the year, so
Mhm.
Like it felt like special. Like, oh hey, the next Star Wars thing is coming, and then it felt even more special. Halfway through, and we're like, we have no footage now. This is really interesting. So it was like keeping us on our toes. But now that we have like probably gonna enter a realm of like at least 3 projects a year.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps us busy, but going back to Carson's thing again, I think it's just we have to wait and see.
Here,
Yeah.
Nathan, pull up a comment. We got a couple good comments.
Okay.
Yeah. Custody. Focus on them rebuilding the society of best men.
Ooh, Caleb.
Yeah, I think
That
is
when would
pretty
that
cool.
take place? I
Post-
love a
Jedi, right?
political thriller, but I honestly think we're getting the political thriller with Cassian. We'll talk about that in a second.
I think
wait. The best
and
thing I doubt. I like that idea, but now I'm thinking, wait a second, they can't use Donald Glover for that one because that would have to be OT era.
Well, I think it comes. I think it comes down more to like I think you're gonna need another Han and Lando adventure prior to that because when Han does hear how Lando talks in Empire, he's like, "Oh, listen to you, sound like a businessman." So
Yeah.
True.
So yeah, there's some surprise in that.
I'm a married kind of guy. If I get fatigued, I just
Yeah.
take a break and come back later. It'll.
And that's a good
Ah, yes,
point,
but
too,
we run the
because-
Star Wars show. No, I'm kidding.
we can't do that. Yeah.
That's a
There
good
you
point
go.
too, because I think there is a conversation to be had of, which we said it, of course, it's the same conversation that comes up in fandom of like, you know, there's gonna be things that just aren't for you, and that's okay. And I think as hardcore Star Wars fans, we get in this cycle of like, trying to consume everything and like everything and kind of find the good stuff in every that we like in Star Wars in every piece of content. I guess it worries me. I just don't want my Star Wars to be like throwing needles at a dartboard and then like, whatever one hits. I want it to, build up still. And I think these TV shows can do that. It just worries me as some of these.
I can
these
see
titles,
myself like I like Mando. It's not one of my favorite
Uh-huh.
Star Wars pieces of content. I like it for what it is. And hopefully that's what I feel about the last 3 shows we talked about, specifically Rangers and Ahsoka.
And we should say we're not writing off any of these shows.
Yeah.
We
Again,
haven't
I
seen
will write
anything,
off
like,
Rangers if Cara Dune is in it. I will write that.
right.
But
That's a whole other. Yeah.
I would just say, in our chat, who's Gina Carano? She posted something about like she blocked us on Twitter, but she posted something on
I
Twitter
posted a screenshot. She
saying
was like
authenticity. I can't say stuff, that kind of stuff, right?
they don't want to listen. Stuff like that.
Yeah, they don't want to listen to me. So that gave me kind of a hope. I'm like, okay. And she wasn't mentioned in the press release. They mentioned Rosario, but they didn't mention Gina Carano. So it gives me hope. Ranger of the New Republic emphasizes ensemble, Rangers plural. So maybe she's not in the show. But back to Lando. Nothing else to say. I think it's just I'm excited. I'm more excited for Lando than Rangers and Ahsoka, to be honest, just because it's Lando.
And the
and it's
potential with the solo stuff. Yeah.
And it's potential for solo, and it's separated from the world of the Mandalorian. This is going to be by a new director, a new vision. So that itself has me excited. But moving on to the best part of the entire. Oh wait, no, never mind. I thought this was Acolyte. But I am excited for.
I love the title on the logo. The title of the logo is great.
Yes.
Andor, and it looks like an early rebellion look. It reminds me of the Phoenix Squadron.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And we had like a little sizzle that I'm actually like this is actually one of the higher things up for me.
I agree.
Yeah, this is like I have my Rogue Squadron Acolyte at the top. This is like my 3rd or 4th for me, and then Kenobi, and then yeah.
It made me nostalgic again for Rogue One. I know, Evan, you're not the biggest fan.
But honestly, this was the press release that had the most like passion for me. Like I think Diego Luna is just so
he sells me on his energy so much. It's look at this. This is so nice. I love it.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Rogue One fan, but I love this cast. And I love these characters.
Yeah. Like look, and these sets are huge. Like I was not expecting the scale of the show to be.
I like the hair. They got that young hair.
Carson, do the captions work?
Let me try.
I figure since it's an official Disney thing. Oh yeah, okay.
Magic happens, right?
I love it. I love that like they're just this isn't the volume.
You're
Right.
right. Yeah, it's not.
And I love that like the dude who I recognize from like the director in the Jedi specifically, he worked on all the Star Wars films. He's like, we treat it the same as like any film we would, which I'd love to hear.
Yeah, the sets
And
look
this concept art
immaculate.
just looks.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, man, it's like so cool.
I think they said some like 6,000 extras for this show.
Wow.
They also confirmed 12 episodes. Yeah, this guy was.
I didn't hear that.
So-
When did they say that?
Somewhere around
Cassie
here.
or Diego Luna says it, or someone says it.
Okay.
Yeah, someone in this like around this time. Yeah, they said it's
Look
going to
at
be
that.
12,
Look at this thing.
12 scripts, 12 episodes. What they said.
The scope seems big. It's really cool. A lot
It's
of
the building
possibilities.
of a revolution. Look at this. Here's early rebellion days. Look, it's like a rustic, like look at it. It's like a slab of rock. They're like in a cave. Like I love this kind of stuff.
I love that. Yeah, look at his outfit.
Also, wait,
yeah.
is this guy Imperial or what?
Maybe he's undercover. Infiltration.
Oh, good point. Yeah, interesting.
So
I don't know what that's about.
lots of political. This is
Oh,
cool.
it looks like yeah.
Oh, that looks so. Oh man,
that's so cool.
that on the ground.
Speeder
Right.
chases. Oh,
It's
he's
like
hanging off
spy
the side.
political thriller.
Dude, is he like running around along the ground on like a?
It looks like he's doing like a turn, like kind of how Poe does. And
Yeah, like a kick turn, yeah, that-
like a kick turn.
Oh my god.
Oh, here's some building.
Wow,
of
that's
ships. Wow. Look
crazy.
at that.
That's a Venator from Clone Wars.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
Oh my
Do you
god!
know
Look
the
at
timeline
this
for this
broken-
That reminds me of Fallen Order, like the shipyards that
Mhm.
Cal was working.
Hmm.
This would be a great sequence, like a cracked.
What
window.
is that?
That's an
That's-
Empire database or something.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It looks similar to that database in Rogue One at the end of the movie.
Are those like different? Like those are different workspaces. It looks
Yeah,
like.
it kind of look like
Cubicles?
cubicles. It reminded me of
Yeah.
Star Wars
Deathly
Office
Hallows
Space?
Part 1 when they're infiltrate the ministry and they're like all writing in the quills in the desk.
Oh, yeah.
The Imperial Ministry, and that logo is beautiful.
Yeah.
Coming
This one-
2022.
I think this is like of all these projects, I think this is the one that's like, I think it's the furthest along in development, probably.
Yes.
I think that's why we're like seeing it so well.
And I think and it's got the whole cast.
Wait, so
here,
Andor
which
is 2022, not 2021.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, that
So
yeah. That
far.
was that's why
Well,
I
I
wanted
say
to
it so
mention.
far.
is-
I say it so far. We're about to enter 2021,
They're filming now and it's coming 2020. It better be January 1st, 2022. What the hell?
right? Bump it up to a
So
Christmas.
a whole
one.
season. It's crazy because a whole season of Mando will be filmed, edited, VFX, music before
Before.
the.
What
yeah.
the heck?
Yeah, that's weird. How? Well, I guess like Andor is also a little longer with the 12 episodes.
12
but
episodes.
I hope that also,
Yeah.
and I guess like they're not using the volume. It looks like so. It seems like there's going to be a lot more.
That has me a little bit upset. So next year we're just getting Bad Batch and Mando season 3 in December. We also get High Republic next year, so that balanced it out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Reading tier.
So
Yeah.
then-
Okay, so I
So-
think we'll get
That changed
we'll
my
get
mind. then,
Andor
yeah.
early 2022,
Yes.
and then I think we'll get
Kenobi
we'll get
in the summer.
Kenobi summer 2022. I think it'll be an
Yeah.
instance where it's like a spring summer release versus a fall winter.
And then fall 2022 could be either Mando season 4, Ahsoka, or Rangers.
Or the Rangers.
Part of me was
That would
hoping-
make the most sense.
Part of me was hoping they would confirm Jimmy Smits back for Bail Organa, but I'm glad they did confirm Genevieve O'Reilly for Mon Mothma.
I
Yeah,
hope they did.
They could do 4
Or-
series.
oh,
in
for Kenobi,
2022.
right?
No, they didn't. They
say
didn't
Jimmy
confirm
Smith
anything.
was.
They didn't confirm anything but Hayden for Kenobi.
No, I'm talking about the trades now. I'm talking about Hollywood Reporter in the press.
I
Back.
think they might have for Kenobi.
I don't think
Hold
so.
on. They could,
We have reported on it. But that was forever
on.
ago.
Those are all for Andor, I thought.
am I spelling that right?
Yeah, Jimmy Smith is definitely for Andor, right?
Well,
I swear
don't
he's
know,
in a press
'cause
release.
I don't know. They announced all the Andor people here, but they don't have Jimmy Smits.
Why is this
Jimmy.
doing this?
Star Wars Return. I just googled it.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
No, I swear.
Bail Organa and more may be heading to the Castian Andor series.
Okay.
So yeah, Bespin Bulletin said this. Yeah, so it's all saying Rogue One spinoff, which is Cassian.
Right.
I swear it was in this casting announcement. Maybe it wasn't.
But yeah, the rumors are so it will be in Andor.
Yeah.
It's not confirmed, but I think you can
Maybe
be
he
safe
was
to
in
say.
Kenobi. I don't know.
No, I'm telling you, like I just looked it up.
Okay.
But I think maybe since he's not announced, it means he won't have a big prominent role in Cassian.
Right. Yeah, it'll probably pop up here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited. It's like middle of the road for me. I'm getting way more excited. I think it is the character show that's like named after a character that intrigues me the most because it's although it's set in a time period that we already basically kind of know. I think there's a lot of political intrigue and like basically the idea of like a scrappy rebellion having to make choices that are morally and ethically, on the line of like trying to go towards a cause, and I like that whole deal.
Absolutely.
But now,
are we at Acolyte yet? Come on.
yes, sir. Why is there no logo? The gorgeous logo. God.
Oh, it's so cool. It's a Bad Batch.
Yeah, come on. I want the Acolyte logo so badly.
Google image the Acolyte.
This is easily the most hyped project that was announced yesterday. Even before, when all we had was a name, Leslie Headland. That's all we had.
Final
even then, I was like, that's my most excited project because it's just unknown. Now we know what it's about, and I'm even more excited. A mystery thriller that by itself.
Dark side powers.
Wow, like mystery thriller by itself gets me excited because we haven't freaking had that in Star Wars universe aside from Attack of the Clones, where Kenobi's like on his mission there.
A little bit of spy genre. Oh yes, give it to me.
But yeah, so dark side power, spy drama, mystery thriller, and then to cap it all off, High Republic.
The final days of the High Republic.
Wow.
How do you mark that?
Live action High Republic.
So we're gonna get the beginning of the High Republic and the end of the High Republic.
Think about this. We're gonna get if Taika's movie is truly predated all that stuff. Like, so we get early Jedi. Then we're gonna get a High Republic era fleshed out in books, and now the end of that era fleshed out in the Acolyte series, which I'm sure there's gonna be some connections, like loosely with like era stuff. Probably not with characters. I want all new characters and all new.
Me too.
All new stuff here.
Did you guys hear anything about this? Because I don't know how I would have missed it.
I did not hear anything about this. But I guess we could assume it. They never canceled Galaxy of Adventures.
Yeah, I hope so. I love it.
I think Galaxy of Adventures is going to be a yearly thing.
They did just randomly drop a Kenobi one not long ago.
Yeah, exactly. They're just going to continue to randomly drop stuff. But yeah, emerging dark side powers, final days of High Republic. That to me signifies. I mean, of course, you're going to hate me for this, Carson. Like, I don't want connections, but final days of High Republic signifies something along the lines of a Plagueis and Palpatine. Because wouldn't they be in the final days of the High Republic? I could be wrong timeline wise, but like maybe not. Now that I think about it, maybe it could be the people before Plagueis.
The High Republic was 200 years prior to like.
Yeah, no, it
was 200 years prior. But when did it end? 200 years prior. Is that what
it may only be like we don't know how long, but I would assume it's only like a 50-year time period, maybe.
Like, how long is the end of the High Republic to the beginning of the current Republic?
That's a good point.
That's unknown. But either way, the emerging dark side powers has to do with the emergence of the new Rule of Two Sith, which we've been theorizing during the High Republic comics. Like, how are they going to tease the Sith that are going to be in hiding?
And maybe the Nile of like eventually either by their actions kind of create a galaxy that fosters that, or kind of creates a galaxy that like welcomes that back in open arms of like, okay, now these people are popping up out of the shadows, and now there's or say it again, power vacuum of the Jedi on their heels, which is exciting.
Super exciting. This is easily mind-bending series, or creator of the mind-bending series,
Okay, release date. When are we gonna get this? Does this have more priority for Lucasfilm over the Ahsoka slash
Absolutely
Power
not.
Ranger?
Absolutely not the case. I'm with Nathan. It should be. It should be.
It should, yeah.
But
When
when Kathleen said
things should be
when Kathleen
like the
said
top
they had, when she said they had 3 to 4 volumes, that means they're going to fast track Rangers and Ahsoka. But Acolyte, I am predicting. I hope 2023 at the latest. I hope.
Yeah,
I don't
it
want
has
this
to
to
be.
be.
Right?
Well, I
I
mean, it
want it
was
to be
crazy
earlier
to
on.
hear. It was crazy to hear, like before they dropped all the titles, that they were like, "Yeah, you're gonna get 10 new Star Wars series in the next few years." Like that's
Yeah, I can see Acolyte and Lando being the 2023 series, and Kenobi, Andor, Ahsoka being 2022, Rangers also being 2023. I'm not sure.
It's crazy
There's
that
gonna
we
be a
have
lot.
all the shows now to like fill gaps. It feels like
I'm just hoping all these shows are capped off by 2023. So yeah.
So yeah, I
Gee,
think.
looks
Well,
exciting.
let's speculate here. I think Acolyte has potential for a multi-season run. Obviously, Kenobi's going to be limited 6. I think Cassian will cap at 12.
Oh, you're right. I think most of those other shows that we just talked about are all going to be limited.
Ahsoka is going to be limited. Rangers
Ahsoka's
could
limited.
have potential. I just don't know the angle yet on the show. I guess it'd be to be
With
determined.
Rangers culminating in an event, I don't think it'll get a season 2.
Oh yeah, I could. So I
Acolyte
guess we don't
doesn't-
really know.
But Acolyte,
Acolyte does not say limited. It just says
no, it doesn't.
No.
Series. It doesn't say series though, does it?
I would love
a new
3
Star
or
Wars
4.
series. It is-
Series, yeah, okay.
I would love 3 or 4 seasons in this new kind of environment
Yeah.
because I think
If-
it's amazing.
If we can get Mando every freaking year, and I like Mando, but give me Acolyte every year at that point, starting in 2023, that could be the new flagship show, but something completely new characters,
Give me-
new time period with force
give me-
powers too. Oh my god!
Yeah, and if you're gonna give me backdoor pilots, give me them in new stuff so we get even newer stuff.
I wouldn't mind a backdoor pilot if it's a backdoor pilot to new stuff. Exactly, Nathan. Like a backdoor pilot to a new dark side user. Maybe the dark
It
side.
doesn't have to be like wink wink. You know this character now. Let's go over here. It says okay. There's genuinely something interesting about this character, and we don't have time in this show.
Sometimes new things can pay off, you know.
It's so exciting because
I always think like back when like is not Star Wars related, but like John
Mhm.
Wick, like the first trailer for John Wick like dropped like within a month of its theatrical release, and now look at where it is.
true.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, this has so much potential. Like when Mando does backdoor pilots, we know we can sense that. We can sense the connection because we know those characters. We're not going to really know that. We're not going to know like the whole Boba Fett moment where he turns around, explodes, and puts on the armor. Like we're not going to know any of those things because they're all going to be so new to us, unless some of these characters
and it'll just be these storytellers getting to tell their stories without being less of a box and having to explore some of these concepts that haven't been explored in live action.
It's wide open. The only connection I could see is characters from the novels appearing in this series, which I would be fine with if they're alive at that point. I don't want to Yoda at all.
And even then, there's flexibility because it's different mediums and time passing and all sorts of stuff.
I kind of want to see a young Yoda puppet. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you sparingly would be cool.
I'm still like one of those people who are like bummed that they erased the Phantom Menace puppet with a CG model.
So we all are. Yeah. Overall, Acolyte is my most hyped project, and I need that show ASAP.
It's definitely top 3 for me.
So moving on though,
Bad Batch. So this actually like it got me on board more just because it was like it looks exactly like Clone Wars did. And I think it'll be fun adventures. I don't think it's going to be anything like top tier, and obviously I would prefer a Rebel sequel, but I thought the sizzle we had was a fun look.
It was definitely sizzling.
See, this is what scares me. Stay afloat to find a new purpose. If they don't have a purpose, if you don't have a purpose for your characters, you don't
have a purpose. They were taking on their missions and they struggled to find a new purpose. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
we talked about it. We did a whole 30-minute segment way back. We're like, why is there like they have no like? Well, they're kind of just floating around. But
Well, it seemed interesting because I think like originally, like before we had a look at it, we were kind of like theorizing like, are they just kind of like on the run because they don't have inhibitor chips? But it actually looks like
Right.
they are servicing in the new Empire, but they're probably gonna
which
be old.
and we kind of talked about that. We're like, how do they feel about the Empire now that
Yeah,
this
you,
event has happened? And we'll play the trailer.
yeah, because it was actually interesting because I wasn't expecting it to pick up like right during like last season how it was during Revenge of the Sith. They had the whole like Emperor Galactic Empire suite.
I kind of
little
did
Camino.
pitch.
Yeah, Camino's looking. I mean, it's the. I mean, more season 7 animation. I think is.
It was always good. Yeah,
it looks phenomenal.
we're back on that slaver planet. That was cool.
Still looking cinematic.
Very much so. A lot of action.
I hope it does flesh out the Bad Batch more because, like, I know everybody was like they look cool, but cool's not enough to sell me.
This stuff is cool.
Yeah.
The show seems like it's just going to be the eyes of them, of the audience trying to see like what this period of the
It's like, yeah.
His period is like, yeah.
I was like, those
That's
are like
amazing.
That was Fennec Shan, by the way. If you didn't mention that.
Yeah.
She's gonna pop up again. I was surprised to see that she's even, and that I was thinking about that when I was watching Mando last night. I was like, huh, you were around the Bad Batch, all right.
Live action animation,
Yeah,
I don't mind that.
animation.
I like that.
And I wonder if she has like any thoughts when she sees Boba in that sense of like since she worked for the clones.
No, and this will probably add to like whatever her gripes with the Empire are.
I hope
obviously.
Ming-Na is voicing her in this.
Oh, 100%.
She's got to be.
Yeah. She's definitely got like a great.
This reminds me of like the Clone Wars like train. You know those episodes are like training. Like, this looks like a beat up version of that.
Yeah.
Well, this could actually be a training sequence because it looks like aren't those?
Yeah,
like,
I think it is. Yeah.
with the Empire.
The whole scrapyard. The designs look incredible.
Yeah, this is
Fennec again.
This is really cool.
I have no doubt that this show is going to be fun and it's going to look gorgeous.
It just seems fun action packed. I don't see much heart in this show though. I don't see it.
Tarkin.
Like, that looked cool. Yeah, Tarkin. It threw me off to see like because I only seen Tarkin that age in Rebels animation. So like seeing him in Clone Wars, I was like, oh my god.
Okay,
I do like the logo part.
Reveal.
The logo burning. I love that. That is cool.
I don't see the heart in the show. I just don't. It seems like episodes 1 through 4 of the Clone Wars season 7, except in a series format, with a lot of action, a lot of connections to what's going on in this period.
Well, if I were to guess, like where the heart's going to come from, it's probably going to come from Echo seeing his brother's turncoat in a way that ain't so great.
But even then, we had to speculate. We're like, okay, so is there going to be an overlap of those moments, like, you know, because then it would, or are we just going to pick up? It depends where we pick up, I suppose. But
yeah, I mean,
I still think it's going to be limited. I think it's going to be what 12.
Oh, definitely, right? Does it say limited on the press release?
Oh yeah, let's read it because that would normally indicate. Oh, and I gotta go back down. Anticipation killing me. Oh, go right here. Yeah, Bad Batch. Okay.
The series. This is the series. Animated series. I can assume this is a limited thing, right? There's no way they can extend this beyond.
I guess maybe they're leaving it open for like.
It's a freaking clone show. They can't do more than.
We had the Clone Wars, but yeah.
With the Anakin Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, yes, we did.
I would love to eat my words with this. Like, this is great. Like, yeah, I love Star Wars animation.
I think I'll enjoy everything that's been announced. I just like to varying degrees.
Right. I think I'll never hate any of these things that are being announced. But we have had great episodes of Clone Wars centric stuff in the Clone Wars, like Fives' mission. That was very emotional. With Fives and Krell, that kind of stuff. Like there are Clone Wars episodes that are focused. Exactly, I don't see that getting to that
able
point.
to reach that level, but it could. It really could, and I could,
because Rex was so important to those episodes. Rex and Fives connections. Yeah. I don't see that with the characters of Bad, but they seem so shallow. I'm sorry, that's just what it seems like to me. Because
maybe that's why they're doing it. Maybe someone there is like, hey, like I can't see, and like
I can't see Wrecker getting into a big emotional depth. It's Wrecker. It's a guy who fights things. The sniper guy. He's
that's exactly why, because you just assume, and everybody always assumes about it.
Watch, they're gonna add all these like tragic things like that we didn't know about him. We're like,
he's gonna be a big softie. That's like the trope of like the big bad's always the soft. Like Raph and Ninja Turtles or something.
So
They've
what's the
all been
last show?
compared to Ninja Turtles, but yeah. I think Visions is next, which is my top.
Surprised they didn't give a
in my
they didn't give
top
a
5
release
as
date.
well.
It's
This is early next year.
Yeah,
it's like what I wanted with Yeah, it's like what I wanted with Galaxy of Adventures. Is just the thought of like if they did a Star Wars anime, that'd be amazing, and they are with Star Wars
anthology, 10 fantastic visions from several of the leading Japanese anime studios.
Could you imagine if like one of them is just like surprise Studio Ghibli Star Wars?
I would lose my mind. I would. Oh, that'd be amazing.
A fresh and diverse cultural perspective to Star Wars. Hell to the yes. This is in my top 5 as well, Nathan, in terms of most hyped projects. This is right up there with Acolyte and Rogue Squadron and Taiga's stuff because it seems so fresh. You knew,
and they can do whatever they want.
Look at the logo. It looks so gorgeous. It's
so cool. And I think they shared some images right during the announcement.
They were just briefly behind Kathy, like just kind of some concept.
But it definitely looked full on anime. I was loving it.
Oh yeah,
I love me some anime. Before the podcast was airing, I was telling Carson and Nathan about how I was crying because I was saying anime just today. So mix that in with Star Wars. Oh
yeah, and I hope just like if they dive into like Jedi Sith type stuff, I hope they lean into like where Jedi and Sith stuff like originated from in like the samurai-esque era. I hope they like lean into that for this. I think that would be really cool for at least like one of the stories.
I'm with you, dude. This has me so excited. I have no idea when this is even going to come out. We keep talking about release dates. This seems like a 2024 thing, unfortunately, or it seems something that's very far off.
Yeah,
I'm hoping I'm wrong.
It's going to be on radar all the time, though.
It's a lot of collaboration between 10 different probably studios and all sorts of stuff.
But because it's animated short films, maybe that means a quicker turnaround. So we
2023.
2023 still sounds reasonable then. So
when's the manga coming out?
We need more Star Wars.
There are Star Wars mangas though, right? Like wasn't there
Lost Stars and Leia and
Princess
Skywalker.
Is the Princess Alderaan one out yet?
Yeah, it's out now.
Yeah, parts of it, or maybe the full thing.
I gotta pick that up. But yeah,
it's super exciting, super interesting.
And now, the pinnacle.
So I don't know what exactly this is. I guess I gotta read it. They don't even have the logo. I get it. They treating the Acolyte the same as his droid story. All right, Lucasfilm continues development stories. I think so. What is it? It's a team up with the visual effects team, which I think they've had stuff before.
So the main pitch is this epic journey will introduce us to a new hero guided by R2 and C-3PO. Which seems pretty cool. New stories, I like that. Animation, I love that.
It makes me think. Like just hearing the title and some of the premise just kind of instantly brought me back to like Star Wars Droids, the old cartoon, or even like probably not really like Droid Tales that like the Lego has on the animation, because that's more like open to the jokes across the greater franchise. I think this is like probably more like Droids with like just following like them, which it was probably be like a little bit of fun. It's not going to be too serious.
Yeah, it's fun for the kids, man. Let the kids just put on Disney Plus and just click a random episode of Droid serious. Story. Like,
we're all talking about super serious, all this stuff. Meanwhile, we just had like the Lego Holiday Special.
Right? Yeah, more of that
for sure.
Yeah,
this is definitely the more kid-centric project. But even then, we're definitely going to be watching this. It seems interesting. I like anything Lucasfilm animated, so I'll definitely be on the lookout for this.
Absolutely. Other Lucasfilm stories.
Yeah, because Lucasfilm doesn't just do Star Wars, guys.
Yeah. Indy is finally shooting.
We should have covered this yesterday, actually. We should have covered this yesterday, but we are here.
Briefly mention it. And of course, Willow.
Right. I still need to watch the original Willow.
I've never seen the original
Willow
Disney
Plus, I think.
Yeah. I think it's like Val Kilmer's in it with Warwick Davis, and I really need to check it out. Ron Howard did, yeah. Like, I know I'd love it. And they're also working on
John Chu. Interesting. I didn't know he was going to be a part of it.
Yeah, and also the Children of Blood and Bone sound really.
This is what I'm super excited about. This is setting a great precedent for Lucasfilm to dive into stuff outside of Star Wars and Indiana Jones. I mean, we just mentioned Willow, but this is going to be a brand new thing.
New, right? It's not an existing franchise thing.
Yeah, Willow's an existing stuff. Indiana Jones is existing. This is they're adapting a new thing. Children
And
of Blood and
Rick
Bone.
Famuyiwa was attached to this, you guys, in the trades with the
He
variety
totally
reports and everything.
was.
So I'm surprised that's not confirmed here, but hopefully that comes back, or
hopefully that comes back. Maybe they're doing some negotiations. They didn't mention Lando as Donald Glover either, so maybe just be a weird thing. But yeah, the story was set around a young African girl, her heart racing quest to restore magic to her forsaken people, the Magi or the Magi. I think it's Magi. And this is a coming of age YA adaptation. I think this is a very popular book series. This is a series too, so if this is successful, there's going to be sequels involved.
And imagine they have this, Percy Jackson on Disney Plus. Revitalizing the whole YA genre, because
we did.
Okay. The YA genre is kind of in the dumps right now.
People like to shit on it, especially because
I think YA has a future in like series format. I feel like when you try to like cramming book into film is tricky. That's why I think that's why we're so open about Dune, is like it's half of the first book.
Right. That's a really good point.
And I'm super excited about this because I remember when it first came out with Rick Famuyiwa, I wanted to order this book because I wanted to read it immediately. In the tagline for the book, it has some Lost Stars. Oh, Nathan. It has some Lost Stars semblance to it because in the plot synopsis, I remember reading, she has feelings. She has growing feelings for the enemy.
Wow.
And I like that. That's my
Come on, Raylos.
Exactly, right? Like when that's a YA trope. YA is filled with that in terms of fantasy. Like it happens with where am I leading here? I'm blanking right now, but there's a lot of YA books and novels that deal with feelings for the enemy, feelings for the other side, whether it's the villain feeling feelings for the hero, or the hero feeling feelings for the villain. So that's definitely going to be the case for Children of Blood and Bone, and that premise alone of
incredibly
love
high.
on both sides gets me incredibly high, because I'm a sucker for those kinds of premises, like what is it called? Enemies to lovers. Like I literally, when I was growing up, the past couple of years, I used to just search in like Google enemy to lovers YA novels and just scroll through the ones that interested me. And through that, I found a lot of great books that I still love to this day. So
I thought you were gonna say when I was growing up, I made like the worst enemies out of like the girls I liked.
That's also true. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Evan's Joker origin story.
Will he find his Harley? Stay tuned.
Oh my gosh.
Narrator, he didn't.
Well, that's a good thing.
Howard, why?
It's a bit of a toxic relationship.
Oh, for sure. It's better. That's why my favorite Harley stuff is like when she breaks away.
Give me Harley and Ivy. That's my stuff. But yeah, I'm super excited for Children of Blood and Bone. It doesn't have a release date.
No.
But granted, Indy's coming out in 2022. Is Indy 2022?
Yeah, 2022.
Star Wars 2023. Avatar is every year between that. I mean, they can do Children of Blood and Bone in any time. Like I think, within the next 10 years, definitely. So before 2030, we'll definitely be seeing this.
Absolutely.
I think sooner than later, though. But yeah, all these projects sound interesting. Acolyte and Rogue Squadron and Andor have me the most excited. Visions too, definitely. The future is in Star Wars animation, guys. Minus the Bad Batch. The future is in Star Wars animation, so I'm excited about that. And hopefully, I still have hope for the stuff that wasn't announced, like Rian Johnson's movie. Even if it's not a trilogy, Rian Johnson continuing his involvement in Star Wars could still be a thing. Rebel sequel could still be a thing. Yeah. So I will never lose hope unless they officially cancel it.
And this is absolutely reaching, but they did scrub the Benioff and Weiss announcements from their page, and the Ryan one is still up. So that's kind of funny.
Because they know if they delete it off their page, people will find it immediately. They will ask questions immediately. So they're probably like, we can't do it unless we know for sure. But yeah, this was exciting stuff. It was a very exciting day to be a Star Wars and Disney fan yesterday.
Yeah, it was the worst possible day to leave my house, but good.
I
Good
know. We're all
info
just
all
glued.
around.
We're just like, oh my god,
Yeah, luck
so much.
bastards. But yeah, it was quite a time. I think I might be overstuffed on like knowledge right now. It's just something I'm
I
gonna
know.
have to get used
Isn't
to.
that funny how it
All these
works?
things. Yeah, it's just like, oh, I'm so starved, and it's like, oh, well, that's actually like a real scientific thing. If you like go so long without eating a bunch, and then suddenly you just like feast, you're gonna feel awful. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
it's
The
it's
feast
something we're gonna have
definitely
to like.
was there.
Yeah, we gotta get used to everything, and we're gonna be talking about news on all these updates for like years to come. So super exciting! What a way to close out episode 45.
Please, no creative differences. Please. Come
Oh
on, get
yeah, please.
Oh God, I'm hoping so much. But with that being said, good way to close it off, Carson. Where can the good people find you? If I can switch.
You guys can find me over. Oh, there's my tile. You guys can find me over on Twitter at the Film Carson, talking about all these updates, and the film industry just absolutely changing and exploding and imploding all the same every single week, and every director sending in letters to the trades. So more about that, and I will probably be on My Cup of Tea next week. We're running out of stream time. We got to preserve for our Mando
probably have a
season
holiday
finale
break.
next week. Yeah, we'll probably have some semblance of a holiday break, but Mando season 2 finale, we're gonna break it down. I cannot wait to see what Moff Gideon does in this and what happens to Grogu, and of course that spear is going to be put into action along with all of Giancarlo's Darksabers. So catch you next week on that one.
Evan, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter at HarrisEV9. Yeah, what Carson was saying. Are we going to find Gideon leaving the bridge, leaving that set, doing something different besides giving orders? Is Grogu going to escape, or are they going to rescue him? I think not. But I'm excited for the finale. It's going to be incredible, just like last season's was. And you'll find me this weekend just gushing about the latest episode of Haikyuu, the best anime of all time. And Attack on Titan is this weekend, so I'll be gushing about that. I'll be catching up on 2020. I finished my finals, so I'm done for the semester. So I'm going to be a lot more room to just watch a lot of more movies. Checking out Carson's Letterboxd to see what I missed.
Watch Black Bear this weekend. I promise you won't let you down.
Black Bear. I might watch that tomorrow. That's going to be my agenda. Yeah, can't wait for next week.
And as always, you can find me on here on the channel, and all of our social media is linked in the description below. Last week, I'm doing Mandalorian reaction where I have to stay up until the brink of dawn. So that'll be fun. So that being said, if you guys did in fact enjoy our podcast, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if not already. That being said, hope you have a great day, and may the force be with you always.